Chapter 1803. Chapter 1803. The new palace master. The scarlet pill furnace emitted a terrifying aura. The aura was scorching hot, and Lu Ming felt as if he was being burned when it got close to him. However, a wonderful scene appeared. When the alchemy furnace approached Lu Ming, it shrank rapidly and finally turned into a ray of light, rushing into Lu Ming's mind and disappearing. The next moment, the elixir furnace appeared in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, emitting a brilliant light. At the same time, a large amount of information rushed into Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming instinctively sat cross-legged and began to digest the piece of information. After an unknown period of time, Lu Ming finally opened his eyes. The Great Yen Elixir Furnace and the Great Yen Elixir Scripture. I didn't expect that I would obtain the inheritance of the Great Yen Elixir Hall just like that. Lu Ming muttered. His expression was a little complicated. There were two main types of information that appeared in his mind. One was the Great Evolution Elixir Scripture, and the other was a sacred book on elixir refinement. The Great Evolution Elixir Scripture is truly wondrous. Just like what the outside world says, it can use the laws of heaven and earth to refine elixirs. It has endless uses. Lu Ming's face was filled with surprise. Of course, he only had a rough idea of the contents of the Great Yen Elixir Scripture. He was still far from comprehending it. He would need to spend time to comprehend it in detail later. There was also another piece of information, which was the Great Evolution Elixir Formation. There had been powerful ancestral cultivators from the Dian Elixir Palace who had inscribed a powerful formation on this mountain and its vicinity. All the information was in Lu Ming's mind and he could grasp it easily. This place is protected by a great formation, and the origin chi is extremely rich. It's not a bad idea to live here in the future. Lu Ming smiled. Tuck, tuck, tuck. At this moment, a crisp sound rang out in the quiet stone room. This sound seemed to be the sound of a wooden stick hitting the ground. There's someone? Lu Ming was shocked. Did the Great Yen Elixir Palace still have a successor? Lu Ming was highly focused as he scanned his surroundings. The sound of tapping was getting closer and closer. Then Lu Ming saw a figure walking out from the depths of the stone chamber. It was an old man wearing gray clothes, but he was really old. There was not much white hair left, his body was thin, and the wrinkles on his face were like mountains. He did not exude any martial arts aura. He looked like an ordinary old man. However, Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. Since the other party had appeared in the Dian Elixir Hall, he was afraid that there was something unusual. After so many years, someone has finally come. An old voice came out of the old man's mouth, but it was weak and seemed to be a little weak. He opened his turbid eyes and looked at Lu Ming. He suddenly bowed to Lu Ming. This old servant greets the new hall master. Lu Ming quickly waved his hand and a wave of energy lifted the old man up. Senior, why is that? And who are you? I'm just a servant of the Great Yen Elixir Palace. I was ordered to guard the Great Yen Elixir Palace and wait for the arrival of its successor. Finally, before I was buried, a new successor of the Great Yen Elixir Palace came. The old man said, I've become the successor of the Great Yen Elixir Palace? Lu Ming asked. That's right. The previous hall master said that anyone who can enter here is the successor of the Dian Elixir Hall. Otherwise, why would the Dian Elixir Furnace enter your sea of consciousness and recognize you as its master? The old man explained. Senior, what's going on? What did this have to do with the Hunyuan sect's inheritor? Can you explain it to me? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. It's simple. The previous hall master was also the inheritor of Hunyuan sect. He was a silver inheritor. Then a token appeared in the old man's hand. It was the silver inheritance token of the Hunyuan sect. The previous sect master once said that the Great Yen Elixir Palace can only appear when the golden inheritor of the Hunyuan sect appears. The golden inheritor is the inheritor of the Great Yen Elixir Palace and the palace master. Some time ago, I sensed through the silver inheritor token that the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor had finally appeared. So, I opened the Great Yen Elixir Palace and let it appear, waiting for the arrival of the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor. I didn't expect the palace master to arrive so soon. It seems like the palace master is in the ancient moon sanctuary. The old man explained in detail. I see. Lu Ming came to a sudden realization. No wonder there was a Hunyuan sect's legacy token on the stone door. No wonder no one else, not even Huang Ling and Long Chen, could enter. He was the only one who could. That was because the Grand Yen Hall was born for him alone. If he did not come, no one else would be able to obtain the inheritance. But then he thought of another problem. The silver inheritance token could sense the presence of a gold inheritor. Didn't that mean that all the Hunyuan sect inheritors in the past could sense it? Even some powerful existences knew that a golden inheritor had appeared? It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Unless it was necessary, he could not expose his identity as the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor. Lu Ming pondered. If some powerful beings harbored ill intentions and knew that he was the Hunyuan sect's gold inheritor, they would probably kill him with one slap. That's right, Senior, where are the others from the Great Yen Elixir Palace? Lu Ming's heart stirred and he asked again. There's no one else, only this old servant. In a few more days I'm afraid he'll also die. Fortunately, the heavens have eyes. Before this old servant dies, the Hall Master came here and inherited the Great Yen Elixir Hall. This old servant can die in peace. The old man said, his voice filled with sorrow. Lu Ming's heart trembled as he asked, why is Senior the only one left in the Dian Elixir Hall? It's said that once one reaches the Martial Emperor realm, one's lifespan will be unlimited and they'll almost never die. Lu Ming was indeed very surprised. Lu Ming did not believe that there were no Martial Emperor powerhouses in the Dian Elixir Palace. In ancient times, the Great Yen Elixir Hall's name shook the land of Mount Yuan. Its alchemy skills were unparalleled in the world, seizing the fortune of heaven and earth, and it could even establish a sect in the ancient Moon Holy Land. Moreover, after so many years, the moment it appeared, it caused a commotion in all directions. Almost all of ancient Moon Holy Land's major forces were mobilized, and even martial sovereigns appeared one after another. How could such a force not have a martial sovereign? Lu Ming did not believe it. It's true that a martial emperor's lifespan is endless. However, no one can truly live forever. The old man sighed. Lu Ming was puzzled. Could there be a mistake in the rumors? Palace Master, you probably don't know this yet. In the martial emperor realm, one's lifespan is endless. However, there will be a major tribulation. Every 33,333 years, there will be a major tribulation. Those who pass it will be able to temper their cultivation and become stronger. They might even be able to reach a higher level. Those who can't pass it will be turned into ashes by the major tribulation. The old man's explanation made Lu Ming's heart skip a beat. Every 33,333 years, a martial emperor powerhouse would face a great calamity. If they could not overcome it, they would be annihilated. When one reached the martial emperor realm, they would not be able to rest easy and live forever. They would have to face a great calamity. In that case, martial emperor powerhouses pursued strength more than those of other realms because they would die if they were not strong enough. The tribulations of heaven and earth get more and more powerful each time. If a martial sovereign doesn't advance, he'll die under the tribulations. So what if he's a martial sovereign? He can't escape the punishment of the heavenly Tao. The old man sighed as if he was filled with endless emotions. Chapter 1804. Chapter 1804. Chapter 1804 Martial Sovereign takes action. Could it be that all the previous palace masters have fallen under the Great Tribulation? Lu Ming asked. Almost. In ancient times, although the Dian Elixir Hall had very few members, they were extremely powerful. There were several generations of hall masters who were extremely powerful. Unfortunately, there were several generations of old hall masters who failed to pass the tribulation and died under it. The old man said as if he was reminiscing. The Great Yen Elixir Scripture and the Great Yen Elixir Furnace of the Great Yen Elixir Palace were coveted by others. In the past, there were several generations of old hall masters guarding it, and no one dared to touch it. However, after the fall of the old hall masters, other forces began to stir. After that, the previous hall master had no choice but to seal the Great Yen Elixir Palace and hide it in the endless void. In the endless years that followed, the others died of old age, and the previous palace master also fell under the Great Tribulation. Only my branch was left to guard the Great Yen Elixir Palace for generations. The old man continued to explain and Lu Ming roughly understood. The old man's lineage was the servants of the Great Yen Elixir Hall and the guardians of the Great Yen Elixir Hall. They had guarded the Great Yen Elixir Hall for generations. In the countless years that the Great Yen Elixir Hall had been in seclusion, everyone else had died of old age. The previous hall master of the Great Yen Elixir Hall had also fallen under a great tribulation. The inheritance of the Great Yen Elixir Hall had been severed, and only the old man's lineage had continued. However, he was the only one left from the elder's lineage. If Lu Ming did not come, the entire Dian Elixir Hall would probably disappear in the long river of history. Hall Master, you can cultivate here in the future. If there is anything you don't understand, you can ask this old servant. The old man said. Senior, you don't have to be so polite. You can just call me Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming was not used to the old man calling him an old servant. No, you're the palace master of the Great Yen Elixir Palace and am a servant of the Great Yen Elixir Palace, so I should address you as Palace Master with respect. Also, Palace Master, don't call me senior in the future. This old servant can't bear the responsibility. Palace Master, you can just call me by my name in the future. My name is Dan Kong. The old man said. Then 111 call you Uncle Kong. This matter is settled. Lu Ming said. The old man muttered to himself for a moment, then nodded. Hall Master, you should first familiarize yourself with the Great Yen Elixir Formation and the Great Yen Elixir Scripture. Later on, this old servant will explain some of the wonderful uses of the Great Yen Elixir Furnace to Hall Master. It will be of great help to Hall Master. Many thanks, Uncle Kong. Lu Ming cupped his fist. Dan Kong revealed a smile on his face. Then he walked toward the stone room with his walking stick and disappeared. Obviously there was another space in front of the stone room. After the elder left, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and familiarized himself with the control of the Great Evolution Elixir Formation. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. Lu Ming felt that he had almost mastered the control of the Great Evolution Elixir Formation. Let's go out for a while. I came in alone. One wonder how Huang Ling, Long Chen and the others are doing? Lu Ming pondered, feeling a little uneasy. Previously, he had killed many Heaven's favorites from the Four Forces and the Golden Crow clan, but the fourth crown prince of the Golden Crow clan had escaped. This matter would probably cause a commotion among the Four Forces and the Golden Crow clan. He didn't know if Huang Ling and Long Chen would be implicated. If he didn't get to the bottom of this, he wouldn't be at ease. Lu Ming stood up and walked towards the stone door of the stone room. Miraculously, when he reached the stone door, a door of light automatically appeared and Lu Ming passed through it. Now Lu Ming was in control of the entire Grand Yen formation. He could enter and exit any place in the Grand Yen Elixir Hall freely. There were still countless people waiting outside the mountain of pill furnaces. A few days' time was just a blink of an eye to a martial arts powerhouse. It was nothing. Someone's coming out of the pill furnace mountain. Suddenly someone shouted. Then, everyone's eyes turned to the mountain of pill furnaces. A black-robed young man flew through the air in the mountain of alchemy furnaces. Who else could it be but Lu Ming? Lu Ming. The martial sovereigns of the Wan family, the Golden Crow clan, and the Skywolf Tower all glared at Lu Ming with eyes as sharp as divine swords. They did not even bother to hide their killing intent. However, the expressions of Feng Ling, Long Chen, and the others changed drastically. Lu Ming, don't come out. Hurry back to the mountain of the pill furnace. Huang Ling shouted anxiously. Shut up, die. The Wan family martial emperor shouted coldly as he looked at Huang Ling with his sharp eyes, causing her to turn pale. Naturally, Lu Ming saw the people outside and heard Huang Ling's voice. However, he did not stop and continued to step on the air. He only stopped when he reached the edge of the alchemy furnace mountain. He looked around and heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that both Feng Ling and Long Chen were safe and sound. Lu Ming, did you get the Great Evolution Elixir Scripture and the Great Evolution Elixir Furnace? The WN family martial emperor's eyes were as sharp as a sword as he looked at Lu Ming. So what if I am? So what if I'm not? Lu Ming raised his head and looked at the Wan family's martial emperor. He was not afraid of a martial emperor at all. No matter what, come with me to the Wan family. The WN clan's martial sovereign spoke in a cold voice. His tone was completely commanding, but it did not allow any room for doubt. An emperor's words carried enormous weight and were unquestionable. Hee, how shameless. Since ancient times, treasures belong to those who are fated to obtain them. Even if Lu Ming obtained the Dian Elixir Scripture and the Dian Elixir Furnace, it was his good fortune and opportunity. You, a martial emperor, actually want to snatch the opportunity of a junior. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the world? The martial sovereign of Phoenix Palace spoke with disdain. Who said one wanted to take his fortune? He killed many of our clan's geniuses, so he has to pay the price. Furthermore, the appearance of Evil Spirit's vice sect leader means that Evil Spirit is about to rise again. One suspect that he's from Evil Spirit, and he specializes in lulling geniuses with the potential to become monarchs. One want to bring him back to the Wan clan for interrogation, so why not? The WN family's martial emperor quibbled and directly accused Lu Ming of being from Evil Spirit. That's right. Lu Ming specializes in killing prodigies. We must bring him for interrogation. The martial sovereign of the Skywolf Tower also said with greed in his eyes. In their opinion, not only did Lu Ming have the Dian Elixir Scripture and the Dian Elixir Furnace, but he also had other secrets. If they could get their hands on Lu Ming's secrets, it would definitely be of great use to the major forces. Hee, what a joke. This is a martial sovereign? You're actually so despicable. Lu Ming sneered. His words were filled with mockery and disdain. And envious, how dare you, a junior, not kneel when you see an emperor and even mock me? I will cripple you now. The WN family martial emperor bellowed, and a violent aura burst out from his body, pressing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's figure moved and he retreated like lightning. You want to leave? In front of me you're delusional. The Wan clan martial sovereign shouted coldly. He took a step forward and the world rumbled. Then he waved his hand and a huge hand that covered the sky and the sun grabbed at Lu Ming. The faces of Feng Ling Longchen and the others changed drastically. The WN family's martial sovereign was too shameless. He actually attacked a junior. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. He retreated quickly and waved his hand at the same time. The entire area around the mountain of alchemy furnaces glowed. A ray of light spread out and rushed toward the big hand. Boom. With a violent explosion, the huge hand exploded. Chapter 1805. Chapter 1805. The monarchs joined forces to capture Lu Ming. The WN family martial sovereign's face darkened. He stomped his feet and pointed his fingers like a sword. A shocking sword light slashed toward Lu Ming. However, another beam of light shot out and dispersed the sword light. You want to stop me with the Great Formation? Naive. The martial sovereign of the Wan clan shouted and rushed into the area of the furnace mountain. At the same time, his body glowed and a few weapons appeared. As soon as these weapons appeared, a terrifying battle weapon Qi soared into the sky and a vast pressure covered the sky. Every weapon was so bright that even the sun was overshadowed. A monarch weapon. They were all monarch weapons. The martial sovereigns of the Wan clan cultivated the 10,000 soldier scroll and sealed emperor weapons with earth-shattering power. He held a battle sword in his hand and slashed out. Boom. The sword light and the halo of light that burst forth from the pill furnace collided fiercely, causing a loud boom to ring out. Go! Lu Ming stood in the void, shrouded in endless halos. He waved his hands and the entire mountain of alchemy furnaces glowed. Halos appeared one after another as if they had turned into blades of death, and they attacked the Wan family's martial sovereigns. Bang! Bang! After a few consecutive deafening booms, the Wan clan martial sovereign's body trembled as he stepped into the void and retreated. Everyone present was shocked. Lu Ming actually dared to fight a martial emperor and even managed to force him to retreat. This was simply unbelievable. Brat, you can control the great array here. You have indeed obtained the inheritance of the great Yen Elixir Hall. The WN clan's martial emperor shouted, his long hair flying in the wind, and his aura was wild. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. No wonder Lu Ming was able to fight against a martial emperor. It turned out that he was in control of the grand formation of the Dian Elixir Hall. However, it was shocking that he had the guts to fight a martial supreme. An ordinary person would be trembling in fear in front of a martial emperor. They would not even dare to breathe loudly and would not even think about fighting a martial emperor. It would be useless for an ordinary person to control such a formation. Lu Ming indeed lived up to his reputation. He was very bold. So what if you have a formation? I'll let you understand what a martial supreme is. Everyone below a martial supreme is an ant. The WN clan martial emperor roared, and his aura became even more terrifying. A world seemed to have emerged from his body, and a terrifying power spread out from the world and poured into the sovereign weapon. The monarch weapons hovered in the air, their power growing more and more terrifying as they pressed down on Lu Ming. The martial sovereign's world force. Someone exclaimed. Once a martial sovereign's world energy was unleashed, it could crush and destroy everything. However, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. He was well aware of the power of the great evolution elixir formation. Kill, kill, Lu Ming shouted. He dared to shout at the martial sovereigns. At the same time, the mountain of the alchemy furnace glowed and shot out at an astonishing speed. It attacked the martial sovereigns of the Wan clan in an instant, exceeding the reaction speed of many people. These halos kept bombarding the monarch weapons, engaging in a fierce battle with them. The emperor weapon trembled and the power of the world on it seemed to be scattered. Break! The WN clan's martial sovereign let out a long roar, causing the heavens and earth to shake. The power of the world continued to spread out, but he didn't need to use it. He was forced to retreat continuously. Boom! Boom! With every step he took, he stepped on the void and the void seemed to crack. Although the Yuan continent space was extremely stable, many times more stable than the divine wilderness continents, a monarch-level expert was too strong. They could already affect space. If they went all out, they could probably tear space apart. The WN clan's martial sovereigns were no match for him at all, and they were constantly retreating. This kid is too bold and reckless. He's very likely to be from evil spirit. There's no need to follow any rules when dealing with evil spirit. We must take him down. Brother Wan'll help you. A cold voice was heard. Then a figure screeched and turned into a huge black eagle, pouncing at Lu Ming. This man was a demon emperor of the Heavenly Bird Palace. How shameful. To deal with a junior, you need 2 emperors to work together, and you even found such a grand reason. One can't bear it. The martial sovereign beside Huang Ling shouted and stepped out. With a palm strike, a phoenix flew out and pounced at the demon sovereign of the Heavenly Bird Palace. Your Phoenix Palace is always shielding Lu Ming. Have you turned to evil spirit? Kill him. Break. The demon sovereign of the Heavenly Bird Palace shouted. He flapped his wings and shattered the phoenix condensed by the martial sovereign of the Phoenix Palace like a heavenly blade. At the same time, he did not forget to accuse the Phoenix Palace. Your mother's fart. The martial sovereign of the Phoenix Palace cursed. His momentum burst out and he kept throwing out his palms. The cries of phoenixes rang out, and one after another, phoenixes flew out and fought with the demon sovereign of the Heavenly Bird Palace. We'll settle the score with Phoenix Palace later. We must take Lu Ming down today. Another cold voice was heard. A figure stepped out. This person was covered in purple light, which soared into the sky. The Purple Extreme Sect's Martial Emperor Powerhouse. You guys are too much. The Divine Elephant Sect's Martial Sovereign said. He took a step forward and appeared in front of the Purple Pole Sect's Martial Sovereign. Your Divine Elephant Sect also wants to interfere. I'm just about to experience the Divine Elephant Sect's ultimate technique. Let's go. The Purple Extreme Sect Martial Emperor said. Purple light burst forth, forming a terrifying attack that blasted toward the Divine Elephant Sect Martial Emperor. As you wish, die. The Martial Emperor of the Divine Elephant Sect shouted and threw a punch. A group of giant elephants formed and leaped toward the Martial Emperor of the Purple Pole Sect as if they wanted to crush him. A few Emperor-ranked battles erupted here. An Emperor-level battle shook the heavens and earth. The others were all shocked and retreated in a frenzy, afraid that they would be affected. You can't stop him today. Lu Ming must be taken down. Another voice was heard. It came from the demon, the Arch of the Sky Wolf Tower. He roared and transformed into a giant wolf. Like a mountain, he burst out with a violent aura and rushed toward Lu Ming. This time, no one stopped him. In the Phoenix Palace, the Divine Elephant Sect had helped Lu Ming because of the relationship between Phoenix Spirit and Long Chen, which was close to Lu Ming. However, the other forces had nothing to do with Lu Ming. Of course, they would not help Lu Ming and offend the Wan family, the Sirius Tower, and the other major forces. How dare you kill the crown prince of my Golden Crow race? You must die. The demon, the Arch of the Golden Crow clan, bellowed and transformed into a huge 3-legged golden crow. Its entire body was covered in blazing divine sunfire. With a flap of its wings, it pounced at Lu Ming like a golden divine blade. The 3 Emperor-level powerhouses attacked at the same time to take down Lu Ming. The 3 emperors had joined forces just to take down Lu Ming. Even if Lu Ming was taken down today or even died in battle, his name would probably shake the ancient Moon Holy Land and be recorded in history. Facing the 3 emperors, Lu Ming's expression remained calm. However, there was a burning flame in his eyes. It was a strong murderous intent. He retreated and controlled the Grand Yen formation. Rays of light formed and bombarded the 3 emperor-level experts. Don't let him retreat to the mountain of pill furnaces. Die. The Wan family martial sovereign shouted coldly. He controlled his sovereign weapon and struck away the halos, heading for Lu Ming. At the same time, the demon, the Arch of the Skywolf Tower, and the 3-legged golden crow attacked from both sides. The terrifying attack broke through the halo and approached Lu Ming rapidly. Lu Ming was still retreating. His speed was getting faster and faster as he approached the mountain of the alchemy furnace. Chapter 1806. Chapter 1806. Lu Ming's desire to slaughter the emperor. Just when everyone thought that Lu Ming wanted to escape into the Cauldron Mountain to hide, he suddenly stopped. The endless halos around him rushed out and blocked the 3 emperor-level powerhouses. At the same time, Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a crimson light rushed out. It was an elixir furnace, the Dian Elixir Furnace. The Dian Elixir Furnace grew to a height of 10,000 feet and smashed heavily on the ground. Boom. The earth rumbled as Lu Ming stepped down from the sky and stood on top of the Dian Elixir Furnace. It's the Dian Elixir Furnace. The martial sovereigns of the Wan family, the demon sovereigns of the Heavenly Wolf Tower, and the demon sovereigns of the Golden Crow race all stared at the Dia Yen elixir furnace with burning eyes. The Great Yen elixir furnace, when combined with the Great Yen elixir scripture, could be used to refine elixirs using laws and seize the good fortune of heaven and earth. Such a treasure was a fatal temptation to any force. Hand over the Great Yen elixir furnace. The WN family martial emperor shouted and used his emperor weapon to open a path as he rushed toward Lu Ming. The Heavenly Wolf Tower's demon the Arch and the Golden Crow demon the Arch did not slow down at all. They burst out with terrifying attacks and blasted away several halos in a row, heading for Lu Ming. The three emperor-level powerhouses charged at Lu Ming at the same time. Lu Ming stood on top of the furnace, his eyes flashing with madness. The WN family, the Sirius Tower, the Golden Crow race, the Purple Extreme Sect, and the Heavenly Bird Palace, these five forces had bullied him too much. From the beginning, Lu Ming and the five major forces were only a competition between the younger generation. It was inevitable for the younger generation to die in the competition, but these major forces directly sent out the older generation when the younger generation was no match for them. This time it was even better. An emperor-level expert had made a move to kill Lu Ming. Since that was the case, Lu Ming would go all out. Otherwise, he would be treated as a junior who could be toyed with as he pleased. Lu Ming stood still as the attacks from the three emperor-level powerhouses approached him at high speed. Great evolution elixir formation, smelt all things refined for me. Lu Ming roared. At this moment, the Dian elixir furnace let out a roar, as if it was resonating with the entire heaven and earth. The entire area burst with brilliant light. Endless halos gathered from all directions and formed an extremely huge elixir furnace, trying to suppress the three emperor-level experts. Break! The three emperor-level powerhouses roared and attacked the alchemy furnace with terrifying attacks. De Yen elixir furnace, open! Lu Ming shouted coldly. The lid of the Dian elixir furnace under his feet opened, revealing a dark space. A terrifying suction force erupted from the elixir furnace, as if it wanted to swallow everything in the world into the Dian elixir furnace and refine them into an elixir. The three emperor-level powerhouses were sucked in by this terrifying suction force, and their bodies could not help but fall into the alchemy furnace. Not good. The three emperor-level powerhouses' expressions changed, and they burst out with world power, struggling madly to break out of the encirclement. Great evolution elixir formation, suppress. Lu Ming waved his hands and controlled the great evolution elixir formation in this area with all his might. At this moment, Lu Ming, the Dian elixir furnace, and the Dian formation seemed to have merged into one and exploded with a shocking amount of energy. If the Great Yen elixir furnace was placed outside, without the support of the Great Yen elixir formation, Lu Ming would not be able to exert such a powerful force that could affect emperor-level powerhouses with his current cultivation. However, with the help of the Great Evolution Elixir formation, it was a different story. Its power was astonishing, and it seemed to have awakened, erupting with an astonishing gravitational force. In the sky, endless halos gathered and turned into a huge alchemy furnace. The flames inside burned fiercely and pressed down on the three emperor-level powerhouses. The three emperor-level powerhouses roared and resisted with all their might. However, their bodies were still falling bit by bit, and they were about to be sucked into the Dian elixir furnace. The people watching the battle from afar were dumbfounded. Their eyes were wide open as they stood there in a daze. The word shock could no longer describe their feelings. What did Lu Ming want to do? Could it be that he wanted to slaughter the emperor? He wanted to put three great emperors into the furnace and refine three emperor pills? This simply couldn't be described as audacious. This courage was even greater than the heavens. For a junior, a great sage, to think that he would attempt to slay a celestial emperor. Regardless of whether he would succeed or not, it was definitely insane for him to have such thoughts and actions. Martial emperor, even the weakest minor emperor, was still a martial emperor. He had the power to destroy the world, had an endless lifespan, and could condense a small world. Such a figure, no matter where he was, would be high and mighty, looking down on all living beings. When an ordinary person faced an emperor-level powerhouse, it was like a mortal facing a god. They would not even dare to have the thought of blasphemy. Now Lu Ming wanted to kill an emperor. One could imagine how shocked the people around them were. The most important thing was that the three great emperors were really falling into the Dian elixir furnace. Lu Ming, it'll burn your bones and scatter your ashes. The WN clan's martial sovereign roared madly. He had really gone mad. Even as a martial emperor, he could not take down Lu Ming and needed the help of others. But now he had even fallen into the hands of Little Feng. In the future, his reputation as a martial emperor was destined to be ruined. He hated Lu Ming to the extreme. He hated Lu Ming for resisting. Why did he not follow him to the Wan family and give up everything obediently? A mere ant actually dared to resist him, causing him to lose face. Explode. The WN clan martial sovereign's eyes flashed with pain. With a roar, a sovereign weapon rushed up and exploded with a brilliant light. The WN clan's martial sovereign was forced to self-destruct his sovereign weapon. The self-destruction of the sovereign weapon was shockingly powerful. The elixir furnace formed by the Great Yen elixir formation was torn apart by the terrifying energy, and the Wan clan martial emperor rushed out through the gap with the other two sovereign weapons as protection. Ga. The golden crow let out a long cry as the golden crow demon sovereign flapped his wings. With an astonishing speed, he followed closely behind the Wan clan's martial sovereign like a ray of golden light and rushed out of the gap. The demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower also wanted to rush out. Stay here. Lu Ming shouted and controlled the Great Evolution elixir formation. The elixir furnace recovered rapidly and the gap shrank rapidly. No. The Heavenly Wolf Tower's demon the Arch let out a loud roar and heavily struck the opening. Unfortunately, the opening had already disappeared. The huge alchemy furnace emitted a terrifying flame and pressed down on the Heavenly Wolf Tower's demon the Arch. At this moment he was the only one left, so it was even more difficult for him to resist. He was directly crushed by the huge elixir furnace and fell towards the Dian elixir furnace. The demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower struggled madly. The power of the world burst out and his body expanded rapidly, but it was all useless. It didn't have much effect. His body quickly fell into the pill furnace. Finally, his huge body entered the pill furnace. Clang. Lu Ming controlled the lid of the Dian elixir furnace and closed it. Refine. Lu Ming shouted as he stood on the furnace, his long hair flying in the wind. Boom. At the bottom of the pill furnace, the pill fire gushed out. At the same time, the Great Yen elixir formation turned into rays of light that surrounded the Great Yen elixir furnace and suppressed it. Boom. 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 A terrifying roar came from the Great Yen elixir furnace. Obviously, it was the demon emperor of the Heavenly Wolf Tower who was bombarding the Great Yen elixir furnace. However, it was useless. The Great Yen elixir furnace was the sect's most precious treasure of the Great Yen elixir palace. It could refine the heavens and transform the earth. No one knew what kind of existence had made it, so it could not be broken. Chapter 1807. Chapter 1807. Refining a demon the Arch. If you want to kill me, then be prepared to be killed and turn into ashes. Lu Ming let out a long howl. His eyes flickered with a crazy killing intent. He controlled the alchemy furnace with all his might, intending to refine the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower. At the scene, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, including the emperor-ranked experts. Lu Ming was really going to refine an emperor-level expert. If he succeeded, it would definitely shock the entire ancient moon sanctuary. A great sage slaughtering an emperor, even if he borrowed the great formation of this place, there were only a few examples in ancient times. It would probably pierce the heavens. Lu Ming, let go of the Skywolf Tower's demon the Arch. Do you think there's only one demon the Arch in the Skywolf Tower? The Sacred Land's forces are far more powerful than you can imagine. If you really anger us, you'll die without a grave. The WN family martial sovereign roared. At this moment, he clenched his fists and his eyes were burning with anger. He had actually lost a Monarch weapon in this battle. His heart was bleeding. That was a Monarch weapon, it was extremely rare. How many years had he cultivated in his life? He had spent a lot of effort and money just to get 3 sovereign weapons. Previously, he had no choice but to self-destruct one of his weapons. He could not wait to skin Lu Ming alive to vent his anger. And now, Lu Ming actually wanted to refine the Feather Arch of the Sirius Tower. Martial Emperor powerhouses are indeed above the masses. They're high and mighty. At first, the 3 martial emperors wanted to kill me, but they were defeated by me in the end. Now, they're using the forces behind them to suppress me. They're really high and mighty. I've finally seen it. Lu Ming sneered, but everyone could hear the deep mockery in his tone. 3 martial sovereigns were going against a junior. After being defeated, they actually brought up the power behind them. This was shameless. The WN clan's martial emperor's face was extremely gloomy. The rest of the Wan family members at the scene looked ashamed and resentful. They secretly hated Lu Ming. Lu Ming, how dare you insult the Wan family? It'll make you regret this sooner or later. Wan Xingyang gritted his teeth. The humiliation of the Wan clan's martial sovereign was equivalent to the humiliation of the entire Wan clan. In the future, when they went out, they would definitely be looked down upon and pointed at by others. Of course, they would not think about whether they were the cause of all this. They would only blame everything on Lu Ming. Lu Ming, release the demon the Arch. Quickly release him. Otherwise, you won't be able to escape no matter where you go. The people from the Skywolf Tower roared one after another. Some of them transformed into huge wolves and glared at Lu Ming fiercely. If you want to save your demon the Arch, come and save him yourself, Lu Ming said. At the same time, he focused on refining the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower. But how would the demons of the Skywolf Tower dare to go? What a joke. Even the demon the Arch was locked in the furnace and couldn't even protect himself. If they went to save him, wouldn't they be courting death? A bunch of cowardly rats. Lu Ming sneered. He glanced at the Wan family's martial sovereigns and the Golden Crow demon sovereigns and said coldly, "If you want to kill me, then you have to be prepared to be killed by me no matter who you are." No matter who it was? Even if it was a martial emperor or a demon emperor, he would still kill them. Arrogant, so arrogant. No matter how talented he is destined not to go far. Kill him. The WN family martial sovereign shouted and controlled a sovereign weapon to attack Lu Ming from afar. However, he did not dare to approach Lu Ming. He only attacked Lu Ming from a distance in an attempt to save the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower. At the same time, the Golden Crow demon the Arch made its move. With a flap of its wings, sun suddenly appeared in the sky and fell toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming controlled the Great Evolution Elixir formation to form a light screen that blocked the surroundings. For now, he didn't attack. He just had to block the attacks. He would use all his other powers to refine the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower. Since he wanted to kill him, he must make the other party pay a painful price. The attacks of the Wan family's martial sovereigns and the Golden Crow demon sovereigns were all blocked by the Great Evolution Elixir formation. From the Great Yen Elixir Furnace, there were constant rumbling sounds, as well as the roars of the Heavenly Wolf Tower's demon the Arch. His voice was filled with anger, unwillingness, and fear. Yes, everyone was terrified when they heard that. Moreover, as time passed, the voice of the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. Everyone looked at each other. Was the high and mighty Fei the Arch really going to be refined? Still not releasing him. The WN clan's martial sovereigns let out long howls, and their attacks became even stronger. However, they were all blocked by the Great Evolution Elixir formation. As for the martial emperor of the Purple Pole sect and the demon emperor of the Heavenly Bird Palace, they were blocked by the emperor-level powerhouses of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect and could not help. Ridiculous. You want to kill me, yet you're asking me to let you go? Idiots. Lu Ming berated him directly. He did not care if he was an emperor-level expert. He did not give him any face at all. Some of the young men's blood was boiling. In front of so many experts, he wanted to refine a demon emperor, berate a martial emperor, and settle the grudge. What was he trying to do? How happy and carefree was this? They yearned for it, but of course they would never dare to do so. The WN clan's martial sovereign felt as if a stone was stuck in his chest. He was so angry. Ever since he had broken through to the martial emperor realm, no one had dared to speak to him like this for many years. The other party was just a young man, but he couldn't do anything to him. He was really aggrieved. At this moment, the sound in the Dian Elixir Furnace became softer and weaker. The hearts of the experts of the Skywolf Tower sank. In the end, an unwilling voice came out of the Dian Elixir Furnace, and then it went completely silent. Oh. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief, their hearts in turmoil. A demon the Arch had fallen just like that? He was killed by a junior? Lu Ming had killed a demon the Arch. This matter was bound to cause a huge wave in the ancient Moon Holy Land. The WN family's martial sovereign and the Golden Crow demon sovereign retreated with an ugly expression. A trace of horror flashed in their eyes. If it weren't for the fact that the two of them were fast and decisive enough to rush out, the consequences would have been unimaginable. If any of them were trapped in the Great Yen Elixir Furnace, they would end up like the demon the Arch of the Heavenly Wolf Tower. In addition, the martial emperors of the Purple Pole sect, the demon emperor of the Heavenly Bird Palace, the Phoenix Palace, and the Divine Elephant sect also stopped fighting and looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming did not open the furnace immediately. For safety's sake, he continued to control the fire in the furnace and refined it for a while. He only opened the furnace when he could no longer feel the life aura in the furnace. Clang. The moment the furnace was opened, everyone's heart skipped a beat. Was the demon the Arch of the Skywolf Tower really dead? The moment the lid was opened, waves of powerful energy rushed into the sky. That was the power of the law and also the power of the world, but then they all scattered with the wind. As for the demon, the arch of the Skywolf Tower, he didn't appear again. It had really been refined. Everyone's heart trembled. What a pity. I didn't study the Great Evolution Pill scripture and my cultivation level isn't high enough. Otherwise, one could have refined an emperor pill. Lu Ming muttered softly. However, the people present were all experts. Although the voice was soft, they all heard it clearly. This guy. You still want to refine emperor pills? Many people were speechless. This guy wasn't just bold, he was a complete lunatic. Chapter 1808. Chapter 1808. Chapter 1808. True Emperor Lu Ming, you killed the Fei, the arch of the Skywolf Tower. The Skywolf Tower will never let you off. Just wait for your death. An expert from the Skywolf Tower roared and transformed into a giant wolf. His eyes were extremely cold. You're speaking as if you'll let me go if I don't kill him. Lu Ming spoke indifferently with a faint sense of disdain. It was the other party who had been pressing him step by step. Even if he didn't kill the other party wouldn't let him off. He might as well kill to his heart's content. Killing a martial emperor from the other party was a good thing for him. It was at this moment that a loud roar came from the distant sky. This roar was earth-shattering, and even the mountains and rivers trembled. Even the sun in the sky seemed to be shaking, as if it were about to be shaken down. Not good. In the sky, the expressions of the emperor-level powerhouses changed drastically. Their auras burst out, and their world powers circulated, enveloping the powerhouses of their respective sections. As the terrifying sound waves swept past, the defenses set up by the emperor-level powerhouses actually shook violently. As for those who were not protected by emperor-ranked powerhouses, their bodies exploded in the air like fireworks. They died before they could even react. Those who were lucky enough to survive turned pale and were terrified. What kind of existence was this? With a loud roar, a large number of experts were shaken to death, and even the expressions of the emperor-ranked experts changed greatly. Then everyone saw a flash of light and a giant wolf appeared on the scene. The giant wolf's body was silver in color and its silver fur was shining. It was 100,000 feet tall and incomparably huge. It looked at Lu Ming with its cold eyes. On his body, there were layers of strange light like a divine ring surrounding his body. He was like a god from the legends. World God Light, true emperor expert. The Phoenix Palace's martial sovereign said in a serious tone. Everyone was shocked. It was actually a true emperor. Needless to say, the other party must have come from the Sirius Tower. Even a true emperor had appeared in the Sirius Tower. The martial emperor realm was divided into the minor emperor, the medium emperor, the great emperor, and the heavenly emperor. A minor emperor's throne would initially form a small world. However, the small world at this time was in the process of evolution. There was chaos in it and living beings had no way of entering. Once they entered, they would be ground into pieces. Therefore, the small emperor throne was also known as the Void Emperor. In other words, the small world hadn't formed yet and living beings couldn't enter. It was considered an illusory emperor, not a true emperor. At the middle emperor level, the small world would be stable and the living beings would be able to survive. This realm was also known as the true emperor. It meant a true emperor. As for the great emperor position, they could control the great Tao and their small worlds could even give birth to living beings. This was even more mysterious and unfathomable. This realm was already the peak of the world. As for the heavenly emperor, he was a legend in the current world. The emperor-level powerhouses that had appeared before were all existences of the minor emperor realm, the void emperor realm. Now, the Skywolf Tower had actually sent out a true emperor. When a true emperor's small world was completely formed, their bodies would emit world divine light. Brat, are you the one who killed the Fei, the arch of my Skywolf Tower? The true emperor rank wolf's eyes were like two suns, shining brightly. It looked at Lu Ming and spoke in a cold voice. Not bad. Lu Ming replied. He was not afraid even if he was facing a true emperor. If he wanted to fight, then he would fight to his heart's content. These major forces were closing in on him step by step, so he could only fight to the end. Very well, I will extract your soul and burn it in the fire of purgatory, making you wish you were dead. The true emperor giant wolf spoke with a cold killing intent. Let's find out his secret first. At this moment, another voice was heard. Then the void shook and cracked. A figure stepped out of the void. It was a middle-aged man with a cold expression and an air of nobility. His body was also surrounded by a divine ring. Everyone gasped. Another true emperor had appeared. Greetings, Patriarch. The martial sovereign from the Wan family bowed respectfully when he saw the man. This person was the Wan family's true emperor. Gah! A terrifying screech was heard. Following that, everyone saw a golden light flying over from the distance. As the golden light flew past, the space actually rippled like water, and a hideous opening appeared. Then the golden light faded and a huge three-legged golden crow appeared in the sky. Its sharp eyes scanned the surroundings, sending chills down everyone's spine. True Emperor, another true emperor, the true emperor of the three-legged golden crow race. In ancient Moon Holy Land, true emperor-level experts would not appear unless something important happened. They would either cultivate in seclusion or travel to find ways to increase their strength to resist the tribulation that occurred once every 300,000 years. However, because of Lu Ming, true emperors appeared one after another today. Not good. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others who were close to Lu Ming looked anxious. Lord Martial Sovereign, what should we do? Martial Emperor. Anxious, Feng Ling sent a voice transmission to the Martial Emperor powerhouses of Phoenix Palace. It's difficult. In this situation, it's not good for Phoenix Palace to interfere. If our true emperor interferes, I'm afraid it will turn into an all-out war. Therefore, I'm afraid our true emperor won't interfere. The Martial Sovereign of Phoenix Palace said. His words made Huang Ling even more anxious. Would Lu Ming be able to stop the three true emperors with the help of the Great Evolution Elixir formation? A true emperor's strength wasn't something a minor emperor could compare to. If a great emperor didn't appear, who could compete with them? The three true emperors glared at Lu Ming coldly, their eyes glimmering with a cold light. Lu Ming's eyes turned serious. With a thought, the Dian elixir furnace shrank rapidly and floated above his head. At the same time, endless light flashed near the mountain of the elixir furnace. Halos appeared and were extremely gorgeous. You want to stop me with a mere formation? The true emperor of the Sirius Tower said coldly. He stepped on the air and charged toward Lu Ming. Bus, bus. Beams of light shot toward the true emperor from the Sirius Tower. Two beams of silver light shot out of the true emperor's eyes. With a slash, the beams of light were all destroyed. The true emperor from the Sirius Tower strode forward without being stopped. A true emperor expert was much stronger than a void emperor. Condense. Lu Ming roared and controlled the Great Evolution Elixir formation with all his might. At the same time, the Great Evolution Elixir furnace shook and resonated with the Great Evolution Elixir formation. In the sky, an extremely huge elixir furnace was formed. It emitted a brilliant light and blasted towards the true emperor of the Sirius Tower. Break! The true emperor of the Sirius Tower let out a long howl and struck out with his wolf claw. Thump! The wolf's claw hit the pill furnace, but the pill furnace didn't shatter. It had blocked the true emperor's attack. The true emperor's eyes turned cold when he saw that his attack didn't shatter the pill furnace. He clawed out again. Lu Ming controlled the pill furnace with all his might and blasted it at the true emperor from the Sirius Tower. This elixir furnace combined all the power of the Great Yen Elixir Furnace and the Great Yen Elixir Formation. Its power was extremely terrifying. Previously, it had almost suppressed 3 martial sovereigns and finally obliterated a demon sovereign. Thump! The true emperor from the Sirius Tower struck the pill furnace again. The pill furnace shook, but it still didn't shatter. It had blocked the attack. Chapter 1809. Chapter 1809. If I don't die, he'll kill all of you at the same time. Lu Ming's figure retreated rapidly. He wanted to retreat back to the mountain of the alchemy furnace. The true emperor was too strong. Even with the help of the Great Evolution Pill Formation, he was no match for the true emperor. He might have a chance of survival if he entered the Cauldron Mountain. If you want to leave, then stay. The WN family's true emperor said coldly. He took a step forward and entered the area of the Pill Furnace Mountain. With a wave of his hand, a small golden pagoda flew out. Then it grew in the wind and turned into 100,000 feet tall, pressing down on Lu Ming. Not good. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. This force was too strong. He had no choice but to stop and control the Grand Yen formation to set up layers of defense around him. Boom. The giant pagoda came crashing down. A terrifying force came crashing down on Lu Ming like a storm. The defense set up by the Great Evolution Elixir Formation let out a terrifying roar and exploded continuously. Lu Ming's body was blasted to the ground and he was forced to take more than a dozen steps back. With every step he took, a huge pit was blasted into the ground. After more than a dozen steps, Lu Ming stabilized himself and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. If he didn't have the Dia Yen elixir furnace to protect him, he would probably not have been just injured. Despicable. A few true emperors working together to deal with a junior. Huang Ling clenched her fists and so did Long Chen. They wanted to help, but there was nothing they could do. A battle like this wasn't something they could interfere with. A true emperor could probably kill them with a single breath. Hand over the Great Evolution Elixir Scripture and the Great Evolution Elixir Furnace, then kneel down and destroy your cultivation. I might let you die a little easier. The WN family's true emperor placed his hands behind his back and looked down at Lu Ming from above as he spoke coldly. Don't even think about it. Lu Ming let out a long howl, his eyes filled with an unyielding look. Your bones are quite tough, but I'll see how long you can last. The WN family's true emperor stretched out a palm and pressed down in the air. Buzz. The giant pagoda trembled and a terrifying attack pressed down on Lu Ming. Lu Ming used the Great Evolution Elixir Furnace and the Great Evolution Elixir Formation to block the attack. However, most of the power of the Great Evolution Elixir Formation was used to block the true emperors of the Sirius Tower. The remaining power could not block the true emperors of the Wan family at all. Clang. The Dian Elixir Furnace trembled and Lu Ming's body was hit by a terrifying force. His bones cracked and blood oozed out of his skin. Bang. Bang. Lu Ming retreated continuously, coughing out blood continuously. His clothes were stained with blood. However, Lu Ming was still standing straight. His eyes were filled with determination and unyielding spirit. Kneel down. The WN clan's true emperor shouted. Don't even think about it. Lu Ming roared. His long hair fluttered in the wind and the mountain of alchemy furnace glowed. Rays of light surged towards the Wan clan's true emperor. Lu Ming was actually thinking of counterattacking. The WN family's true emperor pressed down with his palm again and the halo collapsed. The terrifying power made Lu Ming retreat again and again, vomiting blood. Above him, the giant tower burst out with a terrifying pressure that confined the surroundings, making it difficult for Lu Ming to retreat and rush into the mountain of alchemy furnaces. Kneel down. The WN family's true emperor's cold voice rang out once again. The giant tower exploded with another wave of energy and blasted Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming retreated again and his injuries became more serious. However, he still stood upright. If I don't die, it'll definitely kill all of you from the 5 forces. Lu Ming howled, his unyielding voice spreading in all directions. His voice was filled with unshakable conviction and a cold killing intent. If he didn't die, he would definitely kill all the people of the 5 forces. Many people were shocked. In such a situation, Lu Ming was still unyielding and dared to shout out such a voice. This kid was terrifying. If he didn't die, the future would be unpredictable. Many people had such thoughts. Even the Wan family's true emperors, the Sirius Tower's true emperors, the 3-legged Golden Crow's true emperors, and many other emperor-level powerhouses felt a chill in their hearts. You won't have such an opportunity, the WN family's true emperor said, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. This kid was too extraordinary. Even if he couldn't get anything today, he had to kill him and get rid of future trouble. Bang. The WN family's true emperor took another step forward, and a shocking aura burst forth from his body. Light spots bloomed on his body as terrifying weapons flew out one after another. The chi of battle weapons converged, and hideous cracks appeared in the void. It was obvious that the Wan family's true emperor had used all his strength to kill Lu Ming in one fell swoop. A few true emperors actually ganged up to bully a great Saint Realm Jr. Ancient Moon Holy Land's power is really getting worse and worse. At this moment, a sigh could be heard. Then, everyone saw an old man walk out of the mountain of pill furnaces. This old man was extremely old. His eyes were cloudy, his hair was about to fall out, and his face was full of wrinkles. His aura was dispirited, and he held a walking stick in his hand as he walked over step by step. Uncle Kong. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This old man was the old servant of the Dian Elixir Palace, Dan Kong. Who are you? The WN family's true emperor glanced at Uncle Kong and found that his chi and blood were really weak, just like an ordinary old man who had never cultivated. However, it was obviously impossible for an ordinary old man to appear in such a situation. He's just an old man who's about to enter the grave. He's never been born. Even if I tell you, you won't recognize him. Uncle Kong squeezed out a faint smile. You want to help Lu Ming? The WN clan's true emperor asked. Of course. Lu Ming is now the hall master of the Dian Elixir Hall. I have to ensure his safety. Uncle Kong said. I'm afraid you don't have the ability to do so. The WN clan's true emperor's eyes were cold, and his killing intent grew stronger and stronger. Whether I have the ability or not, I have to try. Anyway, this old life is going to be buried soon, so what's the harm in dying? Uncle Kong said with a smile. Since you're looking for death, it'll kill you first. The WN family's true emperor shouted and pressed his palm down. A shocking aura burst out from the giant pagoda and pressed down on Uncle Kong. The power was far stronger than when he attacked Lu Ming. It was obvious that he did not use his full strength when he attacked Lu Ming just now. He wanted to force Lu Ming to reveal the great evolution elixir scripture and so on. Uncle Kong, be careful. Lu Ming shouted. Uncle Kong's expression didn't change, but the walking stick in his hand was waved. When the staff was swung, it began to grow rapidly, turning into a sky-high staff that struck the giant tower. Boom. A terrifying force spread out in all directions, causing the giant pagoda to shake unceasingly before being sent flying. Uncle Kong's walking stick also rapidly shrank, returning to its normal size as it was held in his hand. So strong. Many people were shocked. This old man who had suddenly appeared had displayed shocking battle prowess and was actually able to block an attack from a true emperor of the Wan family. Could it be that this old man was also a true emperor? Lu Ming was shocked. Uncle Kong's combat strength was beyond his expectations. He had previously guessed that Uncle Kong was most likely a martial emperor, but he had never thought that he was actually a true emperor, a middle emperor powerhouse. So you're also a true emperor. The WN family's true emperor's gaze turned serious. So what if he's a true emperor? Do you think that you can protect Lu Ming on your own? He must die today. The true emperor from the Sirius Tower broke the Great Yen Elixir formation and came to the side of the Wan family's true emperor. Chapter 1810. Chapter 1810. Uncle Kong's Strength Buzz. With a flash of golden light, the Golden Crow race's demonic emperor also appeared beside the Wan family's true emperor, exuding a terrifying aura. The three true emperors stood side by side. Uncle Kong's expression didn't change. His turbid eyes looked towards the void and his ancient voice rang out, "Since you're here, show yourselves." Many people's expressions changed. Were there still experts hiding in the air? The next moment, the void split open and two figures stepped out. One of them was covered by endless purple light, while the other was filled with a terrifying demonic qi. The only similarity between the two was that they were both surrounded by the divine light of the world. The true emperor again. It's the true emperors of the Purple Extreme Sect and the Heavenly Bird Palace. An emperor-level character spoke, his voice heavy. Today the Wan family, the Sirius Tower, the Golden Crow clan, the Purple Extreme Sect, and the Heavenly Bird Palace, the five forces that had enmity with Lu Ming, had all sent true emperors. Perhaps other forces might also send true emperors, but they just didn't appear. Hehe, 5 true emperors, but your purpose is to deal with a great sage realm junior. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the world? Uncle Kong's eyes swept over the crowd as he slowly spoke. His voice was filled with ridicule. Lu Ming has killed many people from the 5 major forces. He's insane and must die. No one can save him today. The WN clan's true emperor said coldly. Oh? You said that Lu Ming killed many people from the 5 major forces. The old man is curious and wants to ask a few questions. Uncle Kong said. The WN clan's true emperors and the rest did not say anything. Today the true emperors had arrived and Lu Ming could not escape. This old man alone would not be able to stop them. They wanted to see what this old man was up to. First, the people from the 5 major forces that Lu Ming killed were of the sage realm. Were they of the same generation as Lu Ming? Aren't there any 7 or 8-year-old or teenager children? Uncle Kong's voice spread in all directions. The WN family's true emperor and the others fell silent. Their eyes flickered but they didn't reply. Senior, the people that Lu Ming killed were all of the same generation. Many of them were older than Lu Ming. Huang Ling's voice rang out. Oh, I understand. Thank you, little girl. Uncle Kong smiled at Huang Ling and continued, did Lu Ming ask for help from the older generation? The WN family, the Golden Crow race, and the other true emperors still didn't answer. Senior, I was present for all these matters. Lu Ming did not seek help from the elders. Said Huang Ling, I can be a witness. Long Qin said. Alright, the third question. Did Lu Ming kill the people from the 5 major forces with his own strength? Uncle Kong asked again. Yes, it's a full-on battle with my own strength. Huang Ling said. Oh, this old man understands. Uncle Kong nodded and looked at the true emperors of the Wan family. Boom. At this moment, a terrifying aura exploded from Uncle Kong's body. It was as if a sleeping ancient beast had come back to life. The terrifying essence energy shot into the sky, and the qi and blood in his body were like flames. Uncle Kong's originally cloudy eyes were no longer cloudy. It was as if the sun, moon, and stars were rotating in them. It was also as if a flame was burning in his eyes, full of sharpness. In a direct battle between peers, you people from the 5 major forces were useless. You couldn't defeat Lu Ming and were killed by him. You void emperors and true emperors actually shamelessly came out and said you wanted revenge. How ridiculous. And you? Uncle Kong's eyes looked at the true emperor of the Sirius Tower. A martial emperor like you came to kill Lu Ming but was killed by him instead. How dare you come out and avenge him? Do you still want your face? Uncle Kong's voice became sonorous and powerful as it spread across the entire area. Lu Ming killed the martial sovereign of the Skywolf Tower by relying on the power of the formation. The true emperor of the Sirius Tower said. Nonsense. As a martial supreme, he's going against a junior in the eminent saint stage. Do you want him to have a fair fight? I think you're not only shameless but also stupid. Uncle Kong berated him directly, causing the true emperor's expression to turn ugly. So what? It's useless for you to say so much today. You can't change the outcome. Lu Ming must die today. The WN clan's true emperor spoke. His entire body was surrounded by weapons, and he looked extremely domineering. No matter how much he said, it was useless. Lu Ming had to be killed. Lu Ming's talent was too shocking. Since they had already offended him, they had to get rid of him. Otherwise, they would be the ones to be destroyed in the future. Is that so? I've said so much not because I want you to leave but because I want to say that since you can do this, I might as well do something like bullying the weak. Uncle Kong smiled. As soon as Uncle Kong finished speaking, he took a step forward. Boom. This step turned the world upside down, dimmed the sun and moon and shook the entire void. In the distance, the martial emperor powerhouse's expressions changed drastically as they shouted, "Quickly retreat!" They led the people below the emperor rank and retreated frantically, wanting to get away from that area because they felt a fatal danger. At this moment, the Wan family's true emperors, the Golden Crow's true emperors and the others' eyes narrowed. Buzz! A ray of sword light burst forth from the walking stick in Uncle Kong's hand. A sword light illuminated the 9 heavens. This sword was peerless and magnificent, like a flying immortal from beyond the heavens. It broke through the universe and slashed towards the Wan clan's true emperor. 10,000 soldiers. The WN family's true emperor roared. All the weapons around him lit up and actually combined together to form an extremely huge and strange weapon. He then attacked the sword light that Uncle Kong had slashed out. However, as the sword radiance slashed past, that strange weapon exploded into pieces and scattered in all directions. The sword radiance didn't stop and continued to slash towards the Wan family's true emperor. It was unstoppable. The WN family's true emperor roared as a small world appeared. His body was within the small world as he retreated frantically. However, even though he was fast, the sword light was faster. In an instant, it slashed at the Wan family's true emperor's small world. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the small world was split open by the sword light like a watermelon that was split in half. The sword light did not stop and continued to slash towards the Wan clan's true emperor. No! The WN family's true emperor roared madly. At this moment, his eyes were filled with endless fear. In the next moment, the sword light slashed down and landed on the Wan family's true emperor's forehead. His body instantly froze and he didn't move at all. All of his aura had completely disappeared. Even his life force had disappeared. Then, under everyone's horrified gazes, the Wan family's true emperor's body turned into dust with a bang and disappeared from the world. At this moment, the scene fell into a deathly silence. It was as if everyone's throat was being strangled by an invisible hand, and they couldn't make a sound. The WN clan's true emperor was dead. A true emperor had been killed by a single sword strike, his body completely obliterated. This was a true emperor standing at the peak of the world. If great emperors didn't appear, who could compete with him? But now he was killed by a single sword. Lu Ming's eyes widened in shock. Was this Uncle Kong's battle strength? It was far beyond his imagination and unbelievably powerful. He killed a true emperor with a single sword strike. Chapter 1811. Chapter 1811. Killing an emperor with one sword. At this moment, there was no trace of old age left in Uncle Kong. He had completely transformed into an unparalleled peerless swordsman. The true emperor humiliated a junior, so he'll humiliate you too. Go. Uncle Kong shouted, and his eyes were like lightning. He took a step forward and the heavens and earth shook. Another sword light slashed toward the true emperor of the Sirius Tower. The true emperor from the Heavenly Wolf Tower was horrified. He retreated frantically and used all his power to resist, but it was all in vain. When the sword light slashed past, the true emperor from the Heavenly Wolf Tower followed in the footsteps of the true emperors from the Wan family. His entire body turned into ashes and vanished. Another true emperor had been slain. Run, run, run. At this time, the remaining true emperors of the Golden Crow race, the Purple Extreme Sect and the Heavenly Bird Palace were almost scared to death. They only had one thought in their minds, and that was to run as far as possible. At this moment they no longer had any thoughts of killing Lu Ming. They only wanted to save their lives. Uncle Kong's eyes focused. He formed a sword with his finger and slashed at the air. Selah. In front of the three true emperors, a shocking sword light appeared and cut the void in half. The three true emperors stopped in their tracks and looked terrified. If I want to kill you, do you think you can escape? Uncle Kong said coldly. Senior, please spare my life. The Golden Crow race's true emperor cried out. At this moment he no longer had the arrogance he had before. He had become very well behaved, like a big bird that was about to die of illness. This was completely out of fear. The WN family's true emperors and the Sky Wolf Tower's true emperors were all killed by the old man with a single slash. It wouldn't take much effort for the old man to kill them. In all four directions, everyone else was silent and could only look at Uncle Kong in fear. Killing a true emperor with a single sword strike, what kind of cultivation was this? What realm was this? Could it be the Great Emperor? A Great Emperor was hidden in the Great Yen Elixir Palace? One had to know that there were only a handful of Great Emperors in the entire Yuan Mountain. Even if he wasn't a Great Emperor, he must be an extremely terrifying existence among true emperors, many people thought. The other two true emperors also stopped in their tracks and looked at Elder Kong. Even with their cultivation, they were completely unable to see through Elder Kong's cultivation level. Bus. The long sword returned to its sheath, and the aura on Elder Kong's body started to withdraw once more, and he became like an ordinary old man. Elder Kong's walking stick was a long sword. Don't worry, I won't kill you. Elder Kong's words caused the three true emperors to relax. Let me tell you, Lu Ming is already the successor of the Dian Elixir Hall and the current Hall Master of the Dian Elixir Hall. Elder Kong said. Senior, don't worry. We will not touch a single hair on Lu Ming's head in the future. The true emperor of the Golden Crow race said. Elder Kong nodded, and his gaze swept across the entire scene and the powerhouses of all the forces. His voice resounded from afar. In the future, I won't interfere in the fights between peers. Even if one of you kills Lu Ming and steals his opportunities, I won't interfere. However, if some of you old guys make a move against a junior, don't blame the old guys for being impolite. When the time comes, I'll make a trip to your sect and stretch my muscles. Many people felt a chill in their hearts. With Elder Kong's battle prowess, if he were to make a trip to any sect, it would be a disaster. Elder Kong could even kill a true emperor with a single sword strike. Although the various major forces had deep foundations and there couldn't possibly be only one true emperor, there might even be stronger existences, but they might not be Elder Kong's match. At that time, not to mention the younger generation, even emperor-level experts would die. This was a threat, a blatant threat. However, the major forces could only accept this threat. This was the power of a terrifying expert. Why did the experts of the Wan family and the Golden Crow clan not dare to kill the geniuses of the younger generation of the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect? It was because there were also terrifying experts in the Phoenix Palace and the Divine Elephant sect. If you killed their Heaven's Pride experts, their experts could also kill your Heaven's Pride experts. This was the power of the strong. And why did the Wan family, the Golden Crow clan, and the other forces dare to send out their experts to kill Lu Ming? This was because they knew that Lu Ming did not have any backing. If he was killed, so be it. No expert behind Lu Ming would seek revenge on their juniors. However, now that Lu Ming had it, all the forces had to be wary. Senior, are you really not going to interfere in a battle between two peers? The true emperor of the Golden Crow race asked. I'm a man of my word. If Lu Ming can't win in a battle between peers and is killed, then he's useless. But he'll still say the same thing. If it's your seniors or even emperor-level powerhouses, I won't hold back either. Now all of you can get lost. Elder Kong's eyes flashed with a sharp glint, and then he waved his hand. Let's go. The Golden Crow race's true emperor let out a loud cry and turned into a ray of golden light, flying away at extreme speed. The other members of the Golden Crow race also left the place one after another. The Purple Extreme Sect, Heavenly Bird Palace, and other sects also flickered and left. This time, the Great Yin Elixir Palace's appearance had finally come to an end, but the storm it had set off was far from over. It would shake the entire ancient Moon Holy Land. This time, Lu Ming was the only protagonist. Because of Lu Ming, several major forces had suffered heavy losses. Especially the Skywolf Tower and the Wan family, their losses were even more shocking. The WN clan had lost a true emperor, and the Skywolf Tower had lost a Void Emperor and a true emperor. Even a powerful force like the ancient Moon Holy Land could not bear such a loss. Anyone who could become a monarch was a peerless genius. The heavenly spiritual body was said to have the potential to become an emperor, but that was all. It was still very difficult to become an emperor. Moreover, he was a true emperor. And NBSP Ancient Moon Holy Land was a huge force, and they definitely had true emperors and more than one at that. But those were accumulated over the long years, and there definitely wouldn't be too many. Losing one would have a huge impact on their strength. Not long after, almost all the forces had left, leaving only Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, and a few other forces behind. Lu Ming, are you alright? Huang Ling walked towards the Furnace Mountain and came to Lu Ming's side. I'm fine, don't worry. Lu Ming smiled, but his face was a little pale. His body trembled slightly and he almost lost his balance. Previously, he had been attacked by the Wan family's true emperors and was already severely injured. Huang Ling, let's let Lu Ming recuperate first. Well, visit him another day. Long Chen also walked over and said, Alright Lu Ming. You should recuperate first. Well, come and visit you another day, said Huang Ling. Then she left with Long Chen, Phoenix Palace, and Divine Elephant Sect. Uncle Kong, many thanks. Lu Ming cupped his fists at Uncle Kong. Palace Master, protecting you is this old servant's duty. However, there are countless experts in the world. These forces in ancient Moon Holy Land are not as simple as they look on the surface. Their foundations are very deep, and they all have terrifying existences guarding them. As for the other Holy Lands, they also have many experts. The road ahead will be even longer, and the Hall Master will have to walk it on his own. This old servant will not interfere in the competition between the younger generation. The Hall Master will have to face it himself, Uncle Kong said. Chapter 1812? Chapter 1812, Superior Grade Heavenly Spiritual Body, this is what I should do. Lu Ming nodded. He also knew that Uncle Kong was doing this for his own good. A powerful person had to fight and kill to become one. He had to go through all kinds of difficulties and dangers. The flowers in the greenhouse could not stand the test. If he needed Uncle Kong to help him everywhere, how could he reach the peak? Hall Master, let's go back and recuperate. Uncle Kong nodded and walked back to the mountain of the pill furnace step by step. Soon after, Lu Ming also returned to the mountain of the pill furnace. He swallowed a pill and began to heal his injuries. This time Lu Ming was severely injured. It took him 7 days to fully recover. A few days later, Huang Ling, Long Chen, Mu Qingxue, and the others came to visit him. Seeing that Lu Ming was fine, they were relieved. Lu Ming took them around the Dian Elixir Hall. However, Phoenix and the others did not stay for long. They returned to their respective sections. Now, the day of the opening of the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy in Heavenly Emperor City was getting closer and closer. Everyone had to seize the time to cultivate and improve their cultivation so that they could enter the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy smoothly and receive the guidance of the Great Emperor. Lu Ming passed on the Divine Breath technique to Huang Ling and the rest. It was a life-saving secret technique and would be of great use at critical moments. After Huang Ling and the rest left, Lu Ming began his closed-door cultivation. Can the alchemy fire of the Dian Elixir Furnace really temper and evolve the spirit body? With a single thought, the Dian Elixir Furnace flew out and landed on the ground. It then transformed into the size of a house. During this period of time, Elder Kong had told Lu Ming about some of the Great Yen Elixir Furnace's wonderful uses. The Dian Elixir Furnace seized the good fortune of heaven and earth. It could be used to refine elixirs using the laws of heaven and earth, and it could also refine elixirs that could evolve the spirit body. This was just a rumor, but in fact, the Dian Elixir Furnace was even more mysterious than the rumors. It could directly temper a person's physical body and allow the spirit body to evolve. Till try. With a wave of his hand, a large number of sacred elixirs flew out of his storage ring and into the Dian Elixir Furnace. Then Lu Ming moved and rushed into the furnace as well, closing the lid. Refine. With a single thought, A large amount of alchemy fire spewed out of the Dian elixir furnace and enveloped Lu Ming. This kind of alchemy fire was extremely terrifying. The emperor-level powerhouses of the Sirius Tower had been refined by this alchemy fire. Alchemy fire had the power to destroy, but it also had an unparalleled vitality. It was completely controlled by the user's will. The pill fire gushed out, and the saint herbs were instantly refined and turned into waves of energy. Lu Ming's physical body was enveloped by the alchemic fire and a piercing pain spread throughout his body. How terrifying! Lu Ming tried his best to resist, but the pill fire covered his body and burned fiercely as if it was going to melt his body. Zzzzzzzzz. Lu Ming's body was being roasted by the pill fire, emitting sizzling sounds. He felt as if his body was about to melt. It hurt. It was extremely painful. A heart-piercing pain. Lu Ming gritted his teeth and endured it. He persevered. He knew that it was not easy for a spirit body to evolve. If he wanted to buy real dragon bones and real dragon blood essence, he would need a lot of raw gemstones. But now there was a shortcut, so why not take it? Lu Ming gritted his teeth and persevered. After a while, the energy from the sacred herbs in the alchemy furnace began to gather towards Lu Ming. As the alchemy fire refined them, they continuously seeped into his body. Lu Ming could feel that his spirit body was slowly becoming stronger. He cultivated for 7 days. When Lu Ming felt that he had reached his limit, he exited the furnace. After a day of rest, he put in some sacred herbs and continued to smelt them. This method was similar to refining pills. However, he was using himself as a pill and the saint herbs as supplementary ingredients. He was constantly smelting and removing the impurities in the spirit body. The energy of the saint herbs was integrated into the spirit body, constantly increasing the potential of the spirit body. When the time came, the potential of the spirit body would explode and transform. Such an effect was heaven-defying. To Lu Ming it might not be a big deal. He cultivated the dragon god combat body. As long as he had true dragon bones and true dragon blood essence, he would evolve sooner or later. But what about ordinary martial artists? How heaven-defying was this effect? In other words, no matter what level the spirit body was, as long as one continued to condense it, the spirit body would continue to evolve. Of course, there were some restrictions. There would be some differences according to the individual's potential. Some people could continue to evolve, but some people had limited potential. Even with the Dian elixir furnace, they wouldn't evolve much and would have a limit. However, this was already heaven-defying enough. Therefore, Elder Kong warned that this ability should not be revealed unless one was extremely close to the Great Yen Cauldron. This was because the outside world only thought that the Great Yen Cauldron could refine medicinal pills that could allow one's spirit body to evolve, but they didn't know that it had this ability. To concoct a pill, one needed materials. Without materials, one would not be able to concoct it. However, this function didn't require any specific ingredients at all. Any saint medicine could be added in. If a major power obtained this, how many geniuses could it nurture? At that time, even with Elder Kong standing guard, it would still be hard to avoid some major powers taking the risk out of desperation. 7 days passed, and in the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Lu Ming had been cultivating in the Dian elixir furnace. Bubbles, on the other hand, had nothing to do and would run out every day. Lu Ming did not bother with it. With Bubbles' current cultivation base and the space-time laws, she should be fine as long as she did not encounter any Monarch-level experts. As expected, Baoba came back every few days with a medicinal fragrance all over his body. He even gave Lu Ming many sacred elixirs. These saint herbs had strong medicinal power and were all very old. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. Bubbles must have gone to some big force to steal medicine. A dragon's roar came from the Dian elixir furnace. In the sky above the elixir furnace, the shadow of 9 dragons danced and circled. It roared at the sky as if the 9 dragons had been reborn. Clang. The lid of the furnace opened and Lu Ming's figure flew out. 9 dragons circled his body, and every inch of his skin glowed with a crystal-like luster. Under the luster, it seemed to be filled with infinite power. A superior-grade heavenly spiritual body. Lu Ming muttered, his eyes bright. After a month of continuous tempering, his spiritual body had finally evolved into a superior-grade celestial spiritual body. This was already the highest level of a spirit body. His strength had reached an astonishing level. Although his cultivation hadn't changed in the past month, which was still at the minor mastery supreme saint realm, his combat strength had increased by a lot. With my current combat strength, who can be my match in a battle of the same level? The child of God is known to be invincible among those of the same level. If there's a chance, I must see it. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a strong fighting spirit. Then he stepped out of the mountain of pill furnaces and rushed into the sky. Boom. Lu Ming threw a punch and the clouds were pierced through, revealing a passage that was thousands of miles long. Boom. 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 Following that, Lu Ming's fists continued to swing. The terrifying fist force swept across and the void boiled. All the air was compressed and exploded, turning into destructive power. Lu Ming seemed to have unlimited energy. He only stopped after half an hour. Chapter 1813. Chapter 1813. Chapter 1813 Killing Feng Ling. Cool. Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief, feeling refreshed. At this moment, Lu Ming looked out of the mountain of alchemy furnaces. There, a figure was flashing over at top speed. Wherever the figure passed, the space rippled like water. It was as if the figure was traveling through space. Bubble, where did you go to steal the sacred medicine again? Lu Ming smiled and looked at the little girl who appeared in front of him. Brother Lu Ming, bad news? Sister Huang Ling is in danger, said Pao Pao, her large eyes revealing a trace of anxiety. What's going on? Lu Ming's expression changed. Instantly, Pao Pao started chattering away. It turned out that Bubbles had sneaked into the Wan family's sacred medicine plantation to eat the sacred medicine and had accidentally heard a secret. The number one genius of the Wan family, Wan Jingyang, had found out about Huang Ling's current cultivation place. He was going to join forces with a group of strong cultivators to kill her in secret. The WN family again. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He knew that the Wan family was taking revenge. Huang Ling and Lu Ming were very close. Some people even said that Huang Ling was Lu Ming's woman. Therefore they wanted to kill Huang Ling to take revenge on Lu Ming. Bubbles, do you know where Phoenix Spirit is cultivating? Lu Ming asked. I heard from the Wan family that it's in the 10,000 Flame Mountain. Pao Pao said. Where is the 10,000 Flame Mountain? Let's not waste any time, well go and find out immediately. Let's go. Lu Ming took a step forward, turned into a stream of light and flew away. Not long after, Lu Ming and Bubbles came to a gathering place. After inquiring about the location of the 1,000 Flame Mountain, they hurried there. Myriad Flame Mountain was a mountain range filled with flames. It was the favorite place of those who cultivated fire-attributed laws. It was more effective to comprehend the laws of fire here than anywhere else. Huang Ling cultivated the law of the unperishable flame, and she often came to the Myriad Flame Mountain to cultivate. In a valley on the Myriad Flame Mountain, flames were burning fiercely. Bai Lin sat cross-legged in the valley. Around her, an undying celestial phoenix was dancing. The surrounding flames were constantly gathering. Suddenly, Huang Ling opened her eyes and looked at the entrance of the valley. She shouted, "Who is it?" as expected of the undying heavenly phoenix body. Your spiritual sense is quite sharp. A cold sneer was heard. Then 5 figures appeared at the entrance of the valley. Wan Jingyang, he shouted. Huang Ling's face darkened. The person in the lead was the number 1 prodigy of the Wan clan, Wan Jingyang. Behind him, the other 4 people were all experts. They were all great saints at the peak or great saint perfection. These people were almost 50 years old and were at the edge of the younger generation. This is my cultivation ground. What are you doing here? Huang Ling said in a deep voice. What are you doing? Wan Zhengyang's eyes flickered with cold killing intent. I'm here to kill you, of course. Lu Ming, that bastard, caused the Wan family to lose a true emperor. This enmity is irreconcilable. However, he's hiding in the Dian Elixir Palace and doesn't dare to come out. He'll kill you first. As Lu Ming's woman, I'm afraid his heart will ache if you die. Ah. Huang Ling's face turned red. It seemed that the outside world had misunderstood and thought that she was Lu Ming's woman. However, she did not refute him. A powerful aura emanated from her body as she said, "It's not that easy to kill me with just you guys. So you've broken through to the great sage realm. But you still have to die." Wan Jingyang sneered and a terrifying aura burst out of his body. Great sage, great perfection. Huang Ling's expression changed. Wan Zhengyang's cultivation was at the peak of the Supreme Saint realm. He did not expect that he had already broken through to the perfected Supreme Saint realm. If Wan Zhengyang's cultivation was still at the peak of the Supreme Saint realm, Huang Ling could still fight him with the help of the law of unperishable flame. However, Wan Jingyang had broken through to the great perfection of the Supreme Saint realm, and with the other 4 masters, Huang Ling was not confident. But, without any hesitation, the phoenix shadow around her fanned and her figure soared into the sky. A wolf's howl resounded in the sky as a huge wolf claw clawed at Huang Ling, phoenix wing strike. Huang Ling's expression changed. She raised her palm and a phoenix wing formed. Like a divine blade, it slashed at the wolf's claw. Bang! Huang Ling's body trembled as she was knocked down by a powerful force and returned to the valley. In the sky, several wolf howls sounded and a few giant wolves appeared. Skywolf Tower. Huang Ling's expression darkened. A few giant wolves glanced at Feng Ling with cold eyes. You've joined forces to kill me. If the Phoenix Palace finds out, we won't let you off easily. Are you going to start a war between the major forces? Huang Ling shouted. So what if you know? We've only sent out the younger generation, not the older generation. Wanjingyang sneered. The people who followed them were all around 50 years old and could be considered to be from the younger generation. Indeed, they did not send anyone from the older generation. As for the younger generation's competition, whether it was a one-on-one fight or being surrounded, there were no restrictions. Moreover, as long as you die, no one will know that we did it. Kill. Die. Wanjingyang shouted. All the acupoints in his body glowed, and saint weapons flew out. He held an absolute saint weapon and charged at Huang Ling, 9 phoenix strikes. Huang Ling's arms trembled like phoenix wings. She made 9 moves in a row and phoenixes appeared one after another. They tore through the void and charged toward Wanjingyang. Wanjingyang wielded his absolute saint weapon and continued to attack, clashing with the phoenix spirit. After 9 consecutive booms, Huang Ling's body trembled and she retreated. After all, Wanjingyang was the #1 genius of the Wan family. His cultivation had reached the great perfection of the Supreme Saint realm, and his spiritual body was a medium-grade heaven spiritual body. His combat power was very shocking. Although Huang Ling had mastered the laws of the King Path, she was still no match for him when her cultivation was so far behind. The laws of the King Path are indeed powerful. However, you still have to die. Kill. Die. Wanjingyang shouted and charged at Huang Ling again. The Undying Cage, Fire Cage. Huang Ling shouted, and the flames in the area gathered towards her, forming a cage of flames that trapped Wanjingyang. Boom. Boom. Wanjingyang kept attacking the fire cage but he couldn't break it. At the same time, Huang Ling charged towards the entrance of the valley. Let's attack together, don't let her escape. Wanjingyang roared. The experts from the Wan family who came with Wanjingyang attacked together. Terrifying attacks were launched at Huang Ling. At the same time, a few giant wolves in the sky roared and pounced at Huang Ling, 9 phoenix strikes. The phoenix spirit let out a long cry, and her arms trembled. She continuously struck out with terrifying offensive power, and 9 phoenixes pounced out. One of the 4 experts from the Wan family was at the peak of the Great Saint realm. He was killed by the 2 phoenixes and turned into ashes in the flames. The other people's figures also trembled and retreated. Huang Ling seized the opportunity and rushed towards the entrance of the valley. Chapter 1814. Chapter 1814. Danger to the Phoenix Spirit. After forcing back a few of the Wan family's experts, Huang Ling rushed towards the entrance of the valley. She was about to rush out of the valley. Get back. At the entrance of the valley, a sword light burst forth, and a terrifying sword light tore towards Huang Ling. The power of this sword light was extremely terrifying. Huang Ling's expression changed. At the critical moment, a sword of fire appeared in her hand and she blocked in front of her. Bang! A terrifying collision rang out and flames shot out in all directions. Huang Ling's figure retreated rapidly and she only managed to stabilize herself after retreating more than 10 steps. At the entrance of the valley, a few figures appeared, their demonic chi soaring to the sky. Falcon, it's you. Huang Ling's heart sank. Several figures appeared at the entrance of the valley. They were experts of the Celestial Bird Palace, and the leader was the strongest genius of the younger generation of the Celestial Bird Palace, Falcon. Huang Ling, to be honest, it's a pity for such a beautiful woman like you to die like this. Falcon was the first to step over. His eyes were as sharp as knives as he looked at Huang Ling with a burning gaze. His eyes kept scanning her body. Bang! Behind him, the fire cage exploded. Wanjingyang rushed out of the fire cage, and his cold killing intent burst out, pressing toward Huang Ling. In the sky, a few giant wolves from the Skywolf Tower blocked their way. Huang Ling was in a desperate situation. Everyone, it would be a pity to kill this woman directly. Why don't you cripple her first and let me bring her back to play with her? Falcon licked his lips and kept glancing at Huang Ling's body. His eyes were burning with passion. Falcon, if you want to play, one have an idea. Jiangyang rolled his eyes as if he was brewing a vicious plan: bring the phoenix spirit and play outside the Cauldron Mountain. Lure Lu Ming out and set up an ambush to kill him in one fell swoop. As long as we send out the younger generation, the experts from the Dian Elixir Palace will not say anything. Lu Ming's death will be in vain. Ah. Jiangyang then laughed smugly. That's a good idea. However, if the people in Phoenix Palace knew about this, they would probably go crazy. Falcon's eyes turned as if he was thinking about whether this idea was feasible. Well, just think of a way to hide it from those people in Phoenix Palace. Falcon, are you so timid that you don't even dare to do this? Jiangyang sneered. Who says I don't dare? The flames in Falcon's eyes grew even more intense. Despicable. Don't even think about getting your way. Huang Ling let out a long cry, and her entire body was about to turn into flames. Endless flames gathered towards her, and she turned into a flaming phoenix, charging up into the sky. Get down? Above her, a few giant wolves attacked at the same time, charging towards Feng Ling. A series of collisions rang out. Huang Ling was alone and her cultivation was at a disadvantage. In the end, she did not manage to rush out and was blasted down. Kill? Saint weapons flew out from Wan Zhengyang's body, and their battle weapon Qi soared to the sky as they charged toward Huang Ling. At the same time, Falcon and the others also charged toward her. Huang Ling tried her best to fight against the crowd, but after a few moves her body flew far away. She spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and her face was pale. However, her body was still covered in flames. She rushed to the side trying to get out. The undying celestial phoenix body, the law of undying fire, and your vitality is indeed amazing. But today your fate is already decided. Accept your fate, Jiangyang said coldly. He took a step forward and more than 200 saint weapons tore through the void, making a terrible whistling sound, and charged toward Huang Ling. Falcon and the others also took action at the same time. Jiangyang or Falcon alone were more powerful than Huang Ling, not to mention so many experts attacking at the same time. Huang Ling was no match for them at all. After a few moves she was sent flying again and spat out blood. If it were not for her physique, the extremely mysterious law of the imperishable flame, and her astonishing vitality, she would have been killed by now. But even so, Huang Ling was still severely injured. Bus. And NBSP whoosh. Jiangyang, Falcon, and experts from the Sirius Tower, a total of more than 10 people, surrounded Feng Ling. Huang Ling had no way to retreat. Everyone, let's cripple her. Such a beautiful woman must taste good. The evil in Falcon's eyes became even more intense. Huang Ling's heart sank. Then, a hint of ruthlessness flashed in her eyes. She would rather die than fall into Falcon's hands and be used by the other party to threaten Lu Ming. Boom. The flames on her body went berserk and were extremely violent. She wants to self-destruct, stop her, die. Jiangyang shouted. More than 200 saint weapons gathered and formed a terrifying suppressive force. It pressed down on Huang Ling, trying to stop her from self-destructing. Don't even think about it. The eagle roared and turned into a huge black eagle. With a flap of its wings, it was as big as a mountain and it charged towards Huang Ling. Boom. Boom. The terrifying power shook, and the flames that Huang Ling had burst out were extinguished. Her body was sent flying and she spat out another mouthful of blood. Her face was extremely pale. Her face was filled with despair. There were too many of them and she couldn't even self-destruct. You want to self-destruct? Dream on. Falcon shouted coldly as he pounced towards Huang Ling, wanting to cripple her cultivation. Huang Ling's injuries worsened and it was difficult for her to dodge. Just as the Falcon's attack was about to hit Huang Ling's body, the air around her started to ripple like water. Then Huang Ling's body disappeared like an illusion. Boom. The Falcon's attack landed on the ground, causing a huge boom and a huge pit to appear. Who is it? The eagle's eyes were as sharp as blades. He shouted and scanned the surroundings. Finally he stopped in the sky above the valley. There a black-robed young man stood in the air, exuding a terrifying killing intent. A 2- or 3-year-old girl sat on his back, also staring at Jiangyang and the others with an unfriendly expression. Of course the two people were Lu Ming and Bubbles. Lu Ming, what are you doing here? Huang Ling stood beside Lu Ming looking surprised. Earlier on, it was Bubbles who had saved Feng Ling at the critical moment. I only rushed here because I accidentally heard that Jiangyang and the others were going to attack you. It seems like I'm still a little late, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, it's Lu Ming. Why is he here? When Jiangyang and the rest saw Lu Ming, their expressions changed drastically and they even took a step back. Lu Ming's fearsome reputation was too great. A month ago, when all living beings refined a demon the Arch, it was truly terrifying. What are you afraid of? This isn't the Great Yen Elixir Palace, so he can't control the Great Yen Elixir formation. He's just an ordinary Saint Realm expert. Wanjingyang shouted, stabilizing the morale of the army. That's right. He's here just in time. We can kill him here and save ourselves some effort. Falcon also said. That's right, we can kill him and avenge the demon god. The killing intent of the giant wolves from the Skywolf Tower grew stronger. That was right. This was not the Great Yen Elixir Palace. Lu Ming could not control the Great Yen Elixir formation. What did they have to fear? It was a good time to kill Lu Ming and get rid of future trouble. Chapter 1815. Chapter 1815. You all have to die. Huang Ling, you're injured. Let's go into the mountain and river diagram to heal. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Huang Ling. Lu Ming, you're alone. You can't fight them head-on, said Huang Ling worriedly. She was afraid that Lu Ming would go against Wanjingyang and the rest by himself. Don't worry. If I can't defeat them, he'll have no worries about retreating with bubbles around. Lu Ming nodded. Huang Ling was relieved and entered the mountain and river diagram. Today all of you will die. Lu Ming exuded a terrifying killing intent. His cold eyes swept over Wanjingyang, Falcon, and the rest. Hee, do you think this is the Great Yen Elixir Palace? You're the one who's going to die. Kill. The falcon let out a long cry and flapped its wings, pouncing towards Lu Ming. Its wings were like blades as it whizzed out, slashing at Lu Ming. Falcon, the #1 genius of the Celestial Bird Palace, was a great saint in the Great Circle. His attack was terrifying. If Lu Ming's spirit body hadn't evolved, he might not have been able to defeat Falcon. But now Lu Ming was not afraid. The laws of chaos circulated and the prison-suppressing heavenly art burst forth. With a palm strike, a phantom of the prison-suppressing steel appeared in Lu Ming's hand. Lu Ming seemed to be carrying the prison-suppressing steel as he charged at the falcon. Boom! Lu Ming's palm collided with the falcon's wings. The falcon's body shook violently and it retreated rapidly, its feathers flying in the air. His eyes were filled with extreme shock at Lu Ming's power. From the attack just now, he felt a terrifying power surging from Lu Ming's palm as if he wanted to suppress him. Lu Ming's cultivation base was only at the Great Sage Initial Mastery. How could he have such terrifying power? He was standing in the Great Sage Accomplished Realm, while Lu Ming was only in the Great Sage Minor Mastery. He had just entered the Great Sage Realm. There was such a huge difference in cultivation. In a head-on collision he was actually no match for him. It was simply unbelievable. Bang! Lu Ming stepped on the void and charged towards the falcon. Let's attack together. Falcon roared. At once, the wolf howled and the wings flapped in the air. The experts from the Sirius Tower and the Celestial Bird Palace all charged at Lu Ming. At the same time, Wanjingyang led the Wan family's experts at Lu Ming. Bubbles, you block the people from the Wan family first. Lu Ming sent a voice transmission to Bubbles. Leave it to me, let's go. Bubbles flew out and waved her hand. Space rippled like water, blocking the path of Wanjingyang and the others. At the same time, a terrifying power of time and space surged towards them. Wanjingyang and the others could only resist with all their might. As for Lu Ming, an absolute holy weapon combat sword appeared in his hand. He rushed forward and slashed with the combat sword. A terrifying power poured into the sword, making it have the power to split a mountain. It slashed at a giant wolf. The giant wolf howled and exploded with all its might. Divine light emanated from its body as it charged at Lu Ming. This giant wolf was also a Heaven's Pride expert of the Skywolf Tower. Although he wasn't the #1 Heaven's Pride expert of the Skywolf Tower, he was still one of the top few. He was very powerful. However, he could not block Lu Ming's sword at this moment. The sword slashed down, breaking his attack and slashing down at his head. No! The giant wolf howled and the next moment the sword slashed down. Blood gushed out and the giant wolf was cut in half. Following that, Lu Ming swung his battle sword horizontally. A powerful bird was killed in one stroke, its feathers flying in the air. How can he be so strong? The others trembled in their hearts. Lu Ming's realm was only Great Sage Minor Mastery, but his combat strength was terrifying. This time, the weakest of the three major forces was at the peak of Great Sage, but they could not block Lu Ming's sword. Kill? Lu Ming shouted and continued to use the Divine Sword technique. At the same time he stepped into the air and activated the Array Dao Law. Dense runes appeared out of thin air and covered the remaining experts. Lu Ming's sword aura was like a rainbow, slashing continuously. 2 more experts were killed and blood stained the sky. Buzz. The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. The falcon had found an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Its terrifying sharp claws swiped at Lu Ming. A layer of black light covered the sharp claws. Clang. Lu Ming swung his sword and it hit the sharp claw. The sword hummed and the eagle was sent flying again. Blood seeped out of the eagle's claws. Chaos finger. Lu Ming pointed his fingers several times in succession. A few huge fingers were pointed at Falcon and the remaining experts. During this period of time, Lu Ming's mastery of the chaotic finger of tribulation had steadily increased. It had already reached 55%. The power of the chaotic tribulation finger at 55% was terrifying. It was comparable to 75% of a supernormal technique. Only absolute saints could reach this realm. And NBSP, the primal chaos tribulation finger, crushed down. Apart from Falcon, all the other experts were instantly killed, their bodies exploding under the primal chaos tribulation finger. The falcon also spat out a large mouthful of blood, its feathers flying in the air. Buzz. Lu Ming put away his combat sword and stepped forward. Like a fleeting shadow, he appeared in front of the falcon in an instant and struck down with his palm. The falcon let out a long cry and fought back with all its might. Thump. Boom. The 2 of them continued to collide with each other and exchanged more than a dozen moves in an instant. After each collision, Falcon retreated frantically. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was far behind Falcon's, Lu Ming's current spirit body had already reached the peak of a superior-grade heavenly spirit body. Moreover, Lu Ming's spirit body had also refined a wisp of chaotic qi. The strength of his spirit body was far above that of a superior-grade heavenly spirit body. At the same time, Lu Ming cultivated the laws of chaos, one of the 10 most powerful laws in the world, the emperor of thousands of laws. Moreover, Lu Ming had 2 saint hearts. The cultivation of his saint energy could not be measured with common sense. Although Lu Ming's cultivation was at the great saint lower tier, the strength of his saint energy would not be weaker than that of the great saint upper tier because he had 2 saint hearts. With so many factors added together, Lu Ming was able to cross such a huge distance and overpower the falcon. This falcon was a top genius. If he was an ordinary person, even an absolute saint, Lu Ming would be able to fight him. Bang. After more than a dozen collisions, the falcon crashed into the wall of the valley. Flames flew, gravel flew, and feathers flew. The falcon coughed up blood. "OuyangWushuang, come and help me," Falcon roared. His heart was trembling as he felt a fatal crisis. But at this moment, OuyangWushuang's face was also pale from fear. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. Ordinary great saints were as vulnerable as babies in Lu Ming's hands. Even the falcon was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming's combat strength had far exceeded his expectations. At that moment he would not help the falcon. He only wanted to escape. Explode. A crazed look flashed across OuyangWushuang's face as he self-destructed an absolute saint weapon. The terrifying power destroyed the spatial defense that Bubbles had set up, and he and a few experts of the Wan family broke through Bubbles' defense. However, they didn't go to help the falcon. Instead, they soared into the sky and fled into the distance. "Falcon, you block them first. They'll find an expert to save you." OuyangWushuang's voice came from afar. "Damn it!" Falcon roared, revealing a look of despair. "It seems that no one will come to save you. Die seal." Lu Ming sneered. He clenched his fist in the air and dense runes emerged from the falcon's body. They formed a terrifying sealing force that was about to seal the falcon. Chapter 1816. Chapter 1816, You dare to touch me? During the collision with the falcon just now, Lu Ming had secretly cast the volume of seal. At this time, the power was so shocking that the falcon could not even circulate his cultivation. "No, Lu Ming, you can't kill me," Falcon shouted in horror. "Ridiculous kill." One Lu Ming pointed his finger and the chaos finger of tribulation was formed, crushing Falcon. Falcon had been scaled and could not exert much of his strength. It was impossible for him to resist. He was crushed by the finger of chaotic tribulation and slammed heavily into the wall of the valley. The wall exploded continuously. In the end, Lu Ming blasted another valley out. Falcon had been torn into pieces and his soul had been destroyed. He had never thought that the #1 genius of the Tianqin Palace would die here. He had been invited by OuyangWushuang to kill the Phoenix Spirit, and he agreed without hesitation. He had been coveting the Phoenix Spirit for a long time. He had thought that with his cultivation, together with OuyangWushuang and the others, It would be a piece of cake to deal with Feng Ling. He had never expected to run into Lu Ming here. Furthermore, Lu Ming's combat strength had reached a terrifying level that he could actually kill him. "Wanjingyang, you can't escape." Lu Ming's gaze was extremely cold as he looked in the direction Wanjingyang had fled. "Brother Lu Ming, leave it to me." The bubble appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. It controlled the space-time law and enveloped Lu Ming's entire body. Bus. Lu Ming's body moved and he disappeared from his original spot. He chased after Wanjingyang at a terrifying speed. Wherever Lu Ming passed, the space would ripple. It was as if Lu Ming was traveling through the void at an extremely fast speed. Not long after, he saw a few figures flying at high speed ahead. However, they did not see Wanjingyang. It was obvious that Wanjingyang was the fastest and had already left the others behind. Seeing that Lu Ming was chasing after them, they were scared out of their wits. Seeing that they could not escape, they gritted their teeth and attacked Lu Ming, wanting to fight to the death. However, the result was already set in stone. Lu Ming went on a killing spree and killed all of them in a few moves. "Brother Lu Ming, it's in that direction." Bubbles pointed to the right. Bubbles could sense the situation far away through space. As long as they were not too far away, Wanjingyang would not be able to escape. Lu Ming moved and flew to the right. Soon. There's a mine of the Wan family not far ahead. There are Emperor-ranked experts guarding it. As long as I escape there, it'll be fine. I hope those trash can hold on for a while longer. Let's go. Wanjingyang increased his speed to the maximum and flew toward a mountain range. The Wan family needed too many weapons to cultivate the 10,000 soldiers scroll. Therefore, the Wan family would do everything they could to obtain weapons. For example, he had set up the 10,000 spirit exchange and various chamber of commerces. He traveled around the world mainly to earn ori rocks and buy all sorts of weapons. He would also open up all kinds of mines and make all kinds of weapons. In the ancient Moon Holy Land, the Wan family had many mines. Near the 10,000 Flame Mountain, there was a large mine that unearthed precious forging materials, and there were emperor-level figures guarding it. Wanjingyang was going to the mine to seek shelter. Not long after, a large mine appeared in front of them. Wanzhengyang's eyes lit up. "Lu Ming, I will kill you one day." Wanzhengyang's eyes glowed with malice. However, at this moment his expression changed. A terrifying fluctuation came from behind him. A figure was chasing after him at an incredible speed. "Lu Ming, why are you so fast? Run, run, run." Wanjingyang was almost scared to death. Lu Ming's pursuit meant that the falcon was in grave danger. Naturally, he was afraid. He burst out with all his strength and flew toward the large mine with all his might. He was getting closer and closer to the mine, but Lu Ming's figure was also rapidly approaching. He was not far away. "Save me, forefathers, save me." Wanjingyang roared madly. His voice was pushed by the same power, and it was much faster than his flying speed. It traveled far and wide. In the mine, many mining and smelting workers raised their heads and looked at Wanjingyang. "That's Wanjingyang, the #1 heaven's favorite of the Wan clan. He's running for his life. Who wants to kill him?" Many people speculated as they looked behind Wanjingyang. "Patriarch, save me. Lu Ming wants to kill me." Wanjingyang roared again, shocking many people. Lu Ming, it was actually Lu Ming. Lu Ming wanted to kill Wanjingyang and had even chased him all the way here. Lu Ming's name had spread throughout the entire ancient Moon Holy Land. Many people had not seen Lu Ming before, but they had heard of him. "You can't escape." Lu Ming's eyes were cold as he rapidly approached Wanjingyang. At this moment, the bubble opened its mouth and a transparent bubble flew out. Then, a transparent bubble suddenly appeared around Wanzhengyang's body and trapped him. Wanzhengyang's body stopped moving. "Not good." Wanzhengyang's expression changed. He tried to break through but he couldn't. Suppress. Lu Ming's glabella glowed, and the Tai Chi formation plate appeared. It expanded rapidly and pressed down on Wanjingyang. Wanzhengyang's body trembled as he was continuously suppressed by the laws of space and time in the Tai Chi formation disc. He was almost unable to move. Boom. At this moment, a shocking aura burst out from the Wan family's mine. A beam of light shot into the sky, and a terrifying pressure filled the air, causing everyone's expression to change. That was Emperor pressure. A figure appeared in the light, and a rumbling voice came from all directions. "Lu Ming, how dare you kill the Wan clan's prodigy? Emperor-level great ancestor, haha, it's an Emperor-level great ancestor." Wanjingyang was overjoyed. A Monarch-level expert had appeared. His life could be considered saved. But the next moment, his pupils rapidly contracted. This was because Lu Ming did not stop at all. He appeared next to him and threw a punch, a storm-like force surged toward Wan Xingyang. Under the double suppression of the bubbles and the Tai Chi disc array, Wan Xingyang could hardly resist. The terrifying power entered Wan Zhengyang's body, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. His bones and armor were all shattered, and even his saint heart in his dantian was cracked. Wan Xingyang was severely injured and his aura was weak. Lu Ming grabbed Wan Zhengyang's neck and stood proudly in the void. There was a flash of light, and in the next moment an old man appeared in front of Lu Ming. His aura was earth-shattering as if he was a king who ruled the world. This was a monarch-level expert from the Wan clan. "Forefathers, save me!" Wan Xingyang roared. Lu Ming, let Xingyang go. Otherwise, he'll make you face a life-and-death situation. The emperor-level expert from the Wan clan coldly spoke. Lu Ming was simply too bold. He had appeared just now and Lu Ming still dared to attack Wan Xingyang and severely injure him. "You're making me face a life-and-death dilemma?" Hehe. Lu Ming sneered and looked at the emperor-level powerhouse of the Wan family in disdain. "You dare to touch me?" These words caused the Wan clan's emperor-level expert's face to change. Chapter 1817. Chapter 1817. Chapter 1817. Killing Wan Xingyang. A month ago, in the Great Yen Elixir Palace, an old man from the Great Yen Elixir Palace had killed 2 true emperors in a row, shaking the entire ancient Moon Holy Land. The old man had once said that he would not care about the outcome of a fight between his peers. However, if it was someone from the older generation, especially an emperor-level powerhouse who made a move on Lu Ming, he would have to make a trip to that force. His words sent a chill down all the force's spines. With the old man's combat power, if he really went to the mountain gate of any force and started a massacre, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, the emperor-level experts of the Wan clan did not dare to attack Lu Ming unless Lu Ming was seeking his own death by attacking the emperor-level experts. Lu Ming's words made Wan Zhengyang's heart turn cold. Could it be that Lu Ming wanted to kill him in front of the emperor-level experts of the Wan family? At the thought of this, he was extremely terrified and cried out mournfully, "Forefathers, save me, save me!" Lu Ming, it's easy to break if you're too hard. Although you're talented, the senior from the Dian Elixir Palace can't protect you forever. You'd better leave some room for improvement. The emperor-level expert from the Wan clan coldly spoke. "Leave a lifeline? Haha, what a joke, leaving you guys a chance to kill me?" Lu Ming laughed out loud, full of disdain. It was impossible for Lu Ming to reconcile with the Wan family, the Sirius Tower, and other forces. It was either one of them died or the other party died. Would the other party let Lu Ming off if he showed mercy? Since that was the case, why should he leave a way out? "Wan Zhengyang's life is mine. What can you do about it?" he said. Lu Ming spoke, his cold killing intent undisguisable. "No, no." Wan Zhengyang's liver and guts were torn apart as he struggled madly. "Kill, die," Lu Ming bellowed. A terrifying force gushed out like a storm, blasting into Wan Zhengyang's body. Wan Xingyang let out an unwilling scream. Then, his body exploded with a bang and his body and spirit were destroyed. Everyone in the mine looked at this scene in shock. Wan Xingyang was dead. Lu Ming actually dared to kill Wan Xingyang in front of the Wan family's emperor-level powerhouses. "Fight. Die." A cold voice rang out from the Wan clan's emperor-level expert. A terrifying aura burst forth from his body, causing the sky to tremble and the earth to rumble. Lu Ming was pushed back by this aura. However, his eyes were still determined. He looked at the emperor-level powerhouse from the Wan clan fearlessly. The emperor-level expert from the Wan clan was filled with killing intent. He glared at Lu Ming coldly, wishing he could kill Lu Ming with a single slap. But in the end he didn't dare to make a move. There were many people in this mine from various major forces. If he killed Lu Ming, the news would definitely spread and alert the expert from the Dian Elixir Palace. Then the Wan family would face a terrible disaster. As for him, he would probably be killed by the experts of the Great Yen Elixir Palace. Therefore he endured it and slowly restrained his aura. However, his killing intent became stronger and stronger. Lu Ming, although the senior from the Dian Elixir Palace said that he wouldn't interfere in a battle between peers, as your combat strength grows stronger and you continue to provoke our Wan family, it's impossible for our Wan family to not retaliate. Even if the emperor-level figures don't make a move, the people of the Absolute Saint Realm can. Otherwise you won't be able to survive if we fight to the death. The WN clan martial sovereign's eyes gleamed with a cold light as he spoke indifferently. Indeed, Lu Ming's combat strength was too strong now. No one in the younger generation of the Wan family could compete with Lu Ming. As time passed, Lu Ming's combat strength would become stronger. According to Elder Kong, Lu Ming could continue to hunt down the people from the Wan family, and the Wan family would not be able to retaliate? How could that be possible? Since Lu Ming's strength had already surpassed that of the younger generation, they could also send people of the older generation to deal with Lu Ming. As long as they did not go too far, such as directly sending an emperor-level expert, they believed that the other party would not say anything. Sure, it'll take all the absolute saints at once. I won't let Uncle Kong find trouble with you, Lu Ming said. As long as the other party's emperor-level powerhouse did not dare to make a move, an absolute saint would only bring pressure and motivation to Lu Ming, making him move faster. With that, Lu Ming turned around and swaggered away. The WN family's martial emperor's eyes flickered with crazy killing intent, but he did not dare to make a move in the end. He could only watch helplessly as Lu Ming left. Lu Ming's combat strength has already reached this level? To be able to kill Wang Jingyang, that's truly shocking. Not necessarily. Just now, Lu Ming relied on the little girl's help to render Wang Jingyang defenseless. The little girl should be a terrifying divine beast, but Lu Ming's combat strength is indeed shocking. Among the younger generation of the ancient Moon Holy Land, Lu Ming is already at the peak. Other than a few monstrous talents, I'm afraid no one is his match. In the mine, many people were discussing. What happened just now would probably spread to the entire ancient Moon Holy Land. Lu Ming made his way to the Phoenix Palace. Not long after, he arrived at the Phoenix Palace and released the Phoenix spirit from the mountain and river diagram. Huang Ling's complexion was much better. After she came out, she immediately looked around. This is the Phoenix Palace. When Huang Ling realized that she was in the Phoenix Palace, she heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Ming, are you all right? Huang Ling looked at Lu Ming and asked with concern. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled. Wang Jingyang, Falcon, he'll get my revenge sooner or later. Huang Ling gritted her teeth and a cold light flashed through her eyes. I'm afraid you can't get your revenge because they're already dead. Lu Ming smiled faintly. What? They're dead? You killed them? Huang Ling was dumbfounded. Yes, I should say that Bubble and I worked together to kill him, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, did you have a breakthrough in your cultivation? Huang Ling asked again. Wang Jingyang and Falcon had reached the great saint perfection and were extremely powerful. It was beyond her expectations that Lu Ming could kill them. My cultivation hasn't broken through, but my spirit body has evolved. Phoenix Spirit, you should recuperate first. When you're better, call Long Chen and find me at the Dian Elixir Palace. I'll show you something good. Lu Ming smiled. No wonder. Huang Ling nodded. Lu Ming's combat strength was already very strong. Now that his spirit body had evolved, his combat strength was even more shocking. With Bubbles, it was possible for him to kill Wang Jingyang and the rest. What good stuff. She was curious about the good stuff that Lu Ming mentioned. Haha, come to the Great Yen Elixir Palace and find me. Lu Ming smiled, turned around and walked away. After returning to the Great Yen Elixir Palace, Lu Ming went into seclusion to cultivate, comprehending the Finger of Calamity of Chaos and the sealed scroll of the 9 scrolls of the Array Dao. 7 days later, Huang Ling and Long Chen came together. Lu Ming, what's the good thing you said you wanted to show us? Huang Ling blinked her eyes and asked curiously. Lu Ming's glabella glowed and the Dian Elixir furnace flew out. It stood on the ground and said, "That's it, the Dian Elixir furnace." The Dian Elixir furnace? The two of them were curious. They had seen it before. The alchemy fire in the Dian Elixir furnace can temper the spirit body and allow the spirit body to evolve. Lu Ming explained the effects of the Dian Elixir furnace. Chapter 1818, Chapter 1818. OuyangWushuang. Chapter 1818. OuyangWushuang. He had absolute trust in Huang Ling and Long Chen's character. He planned to let Long Chen and Huang Ling enter the Da Yen Elixir furnace to refine and evolve their spirit bodies. Huang Ling and Long Chen both cultivated spiritual bodies related to the top 10 war beasts. If their spiritual flowers evolved and reached the level of upper-class heavenly spiritual bodies, their combat strength would also soar. It can actually temper the spirit body directly and allow the spirit body to evolve? After listening to Lu Ming's explanation, the two of them were dumbfounded. This effect was simply too heaven-defying. Who's going to go in and try? However, the tempering process is extremely painful. If you can't hold on, please remind me, Lu Ming said. The evolution of a spirit body is so heaven-defying that a little pain is nothing. I'll go first. Long Chen stepped forward. Lu Ming opened the lid and let Long Chen in. Then he put in a large amount of sacred medicine and closed the furnace. Oh. Lu Ming took control of the elixir furnace. The elixir fire burned fiercely inside the furnace, enveloping Long Chen and beginning to temper his physical body. Long Chen was also a person with a strong will. How could he give up in such intense pain? He gritted his teeth and endured it. 7 days later, Long Chen reached his limit and came out of the furnace. The effect is indeed amazing. Long Chen sighed. It's my turn. Huang Ling couldn't wait any longer and stepped into the furnace. In the following days, Huang Ling and Long Chen took turns to enter the Dian elixir furnace to temper their spirit bodies. Lu Ming split some of his attention to pay attention to the elixir furnace, while most of his energy was still on his own cultivation. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. Long Chen's and Phoenix Spirit's spiritual bodies had finally been tempered to the extreme and had evolved into the ranks of the top-tier celestial spiritual bodies. Their combat strength had increased greatly. With their potential and their own cultivation, they would be able to evolve sooner or later and step into the upper-class celestial spiritual body, but it was unknown how long it would take. Lu Ming, the Phoenix Palace, sent me a message earlier. The date of the Heavenly Emperor City's Yuan Mountain Saint Academy's opening ceremony has been set. It will be in half a year. Said Huang Ling. In half a year? Lu Ming muttered. He definitely had to make a trip to the Heavenly Emperor City. The Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy was established by a few great emperors, and there would be great emperors giving Dao lectures. He couldn't miss such a good opportunity. Moreover, the top geniuses of the entire Yuan Mountain would gather at the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy. Lu Ming also wanted to go and see for himself. Only by clashing with powerful geniuses could he improve faster. Right now, all the geniuses are cultivating hard and their progress is extremely fast. We should make use of this period of time to raise our cultivation. With our strength, it wouldn't be too difficult for us to occupy a place in the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy, Huang Ling said. The few of them chatted for a while more before Feng Ling and Long Chen bade farewell and returned to their respective sects to cultivate. As soon as Feng Ling returned to the Phoenix Palace, someone came to find her. Feng Ling, the palace master is looking for you. The messenger reported. Palace master? All right, I'll go now. Yes. Huang Ling nodded and walked towards the palace master's hall. In the main hall, the palace master stood with her hands behind her back, as if she was thinking about something. Huang Ling, palace master. May I know why you've summoned me? Huang Ling came to the back of the Phoenix Palace master and bowed respectfully. The master of the Phoenix Palace turned around and glanced at Feng Ling. Her eyes lit up in surprise. Feng Ling, your spirit body has evolved? Yes, Palace Master. It has just evolved recently. Huang Ling said. She didn't say that it was because of the Dian elixir furnace that she evolved. The Dian elixir furnace's effects were too heaven-defying. Lu Ming told them this because he trusted them. Naturally, they would not tell anyone about it, even if it was the person they were closest to or the Palace Master of Phoenix Palace. Alright, I have a matter here. I was originally considering whether to let you go or not, but now that your spirit body has evolved and your combat strength has increased greatly, it's a good time for you to go and gain experience. The Phoenix Palace's Palace Lord said. Palace Master, what's the matter? Huang Ling asked curiously. It's about the Xinyuan Empire. The Phoenix Palace's Palace Lord said. Ancient Sun's Sacred Land? God Yuan Empire? Huang Ling's expression changed. Ancient Yang Sacred Land was also one of the 9 sacred lands of Yuan Mountain, and it was close to Ancient Moon Sacred Land. The Xinyuan Empire was one of the Ancient Sun Holy Land's major powers. It was an ancient empire, and its strength was much stronger than Phoenix Palace. That's right. Some time ago, the old emperor of the Xinyuan Empire failed to survive the crisis of heaven and earth. He was annihilated in the crisis. The Palace Lord of Phoenix Palace said with a complicated expression. The old emperor of the Xinyuan Empire has failed his tribulation. Huang Ling's expression changed as well. The old emperor of the Xinyuan Empire was an unimaginable existence. He was extremely terrifying. Even if he wasn't a great emperor, he was at least a peak existence among true emperors. An expert like him was almost at the peak, but he still couldn't survive the Great Tribulation and fell under it. With the death of the old emperor, the Xinyuan Empire lost its ruler. In order to fight for the emperor's position, the various branches had internal strife and a fierce battle broke out. The battle caused the Xinyuan Empire to suffer heavy losses. In the end, a few ancient emperors who had been in seclusion appeared and quelled the internal strife with their terrifying combat power. However, a country cannot go a day without a ruler. The ancient emperors selected 3 of the most talented princes from the younger generation of the Divine Yuan Empire to undergo a test. The prince who wins will become the crown prince of the Divine Yuan Empire. As long as he becomes an emperor in the future, he will be able to take over the throne and become the new emperor. One of the prince's descendants has always been on good terms with the Phoenix Palace. A few days ago he came to the Phoenix Palace and asked some geniuses to help him fight for the position of crown prince. The Phoenix Palace's palace lord explained. Huang Ling was enlightened. So that was what happened. The Phoenix Palace's palace master was probably referring to helping the Xinyuan Empire's prince. The Xinyuan Empire is very powerful, far stronger than many of the forces in ancient Moon Holy Land. If we can help this prince become the crown prince, or even inherit the entire Xinyuan Empire in the future, then our Phoenix Palace will also receive a powerful support. The Phoenix Palace's palace lord explained. Don't worry, palace master. I'll do my best to help the prince. Said Huang Ling. Yes, but just do your best. If there's danger, don't force yourself. This time, the other princes of the Xinyuan Empire will probably invite some powerful heaven's favorites to help. Just do what you can. They'll bring you to meet the prince. The master of the Phoenix Palace warned, then asked someone to bring Feng Ling to the prince. In a courtyard, Huang Ling met the prince. OuyangWushuang, it's you? Seeing the prince, Huang Ling was shocked. A phoenix spirit? The prince of the Xinyuan Empire, OuyangWushuang, was also surprised. He had not expected to see Feng Ling here. If Lu Ming was here, he would definitely be surprised. This was because the Xinyuan Empire's prince, OuyangWushuang, was one of the 6 people who had passed the Hunyuan sex assessment and become a silver inheritor. Previously they only knew each other's names, but they did not know the other's detailed information. Chapter 1819 Chapter 1819 The 4 Forces of the Ancient Sun's Sacred Land. Chapter 1819 The 4 Forces of the Ancient Sun's Sacred Land. Since the 2 of them were old acquaintances, they naturally became familiar with each other very quickly. Huang Ling also had a clearer understanding of the matters of the Xinyuan Empire. This time the other prince has also come to the ancient Moon Holy Land. His bloodline is familiar with the Wan family and the Golden Crow clan. I'm afraid he will invite the experts from these forces to help finally, OuyangWushuang said. Are you guys mainly inviting the young Heaven's Pride experts this time? Huang Ling asked. That's right. The ancient emperors have set a rule that allows the princes to invite their own geniuses to help them pass the test. After all, connections are also a form of strength, especially when it comes to ruling an ancient empire. OuyangWushuang explained. Who else did you invite besides Phoenix Palace? Huang Ling asked. OuyangWushuang smiled bitterly. My faction only has good relations with the Phoenix Palace and the Celestial Bird Palace. I went to the Celestial Bird Palace before but was rejected. Oh, I do have a few people I can recommend to you. Let's see if you can convince them. Said Huang Ling. Who is it? OuyangWushuang asked. Young Sect Master and Long Chen. Huang Ling said with a smile. What? Young Master Sect is also in ancient Moon Holy Land? OuyangWushuang's eyes widened in surprise. Of course. Back then the young sect master, Long Chen, and I entered the Hunyuan sect together. Of course he's in the ancient moon sanctuary. Said Huang Ling. Since that's the case, I'll definitely pay my respects. OuyangWushuang said. Then I'll send a message to Long Chen first. Said Huang Ling. She then sent a message to Long Chen. Not long after Long Chen returned to the Divine Elephant sect, he received the news from Phoenix Spirit and rushed to the Phoenix Palace. He was also surprised to see OuyangWushuang. After OuyangWushuang explained his purpose, Long Chen agreed without any hesitation. Immediately, the 3 of them headed to the Dian Elixir Palace. I didn't expect that young sect master would actually be the new hall master of the Great Yen Elixir Hall. OuyangWushuang sighed as he stood outside the Great Yen Elixir Palace. In ancient times, the Great Yen Elixir Hall was famous all over the world. Naturally, OuyangWushuang had heard of it. Not long after Lu Ming came out. OuyangWushuang. Lu Ming was also surprised to see OuyangWushuang. OuyangWushuang explained his purpose for coming. Ancient Sun's Sacred Land? Alright, I agree. When do we leave? Lu Ming pondered for a while and agreed. In fact, even without OuyangWushuang's matter, Lu Ming had planned to make a trip to the Ancient Sun's Sacred Land soon. The only sacred hail was in the Ancient Sun's Sacred Land. Qiu Yue had been taken away by an expert from the Soul Divine Temple. It was very likely that she had become a disciple of the Soul Divine Temple. Moreover, Lu Ming had another idea. OuyangWushuang was the Hunyuan sect's silver successor. For at least 20 years he had to listen to Lu Ming. If he could help OuyangWushuang control the Xinyuan Empire, this powerful force would definitely stand on Lu Ming's side. They could even be used by Lu Ming. To Lu Ming this was definitely beneficial. He had already decided that he would definitely help OuyangWushuang obtain victory and become the crown prince of the Xinyuan Empire. With the help of the young sect master, this trip is not in vain. We can set off at any time. OuyangWushuang revealed a happy expression. Since Lu Ming could become the golden inheritor of the Hunyuan sect, his potential was definitely shocking. Even if his cultivation level was still weak, his combat strength was definitely not weak. He would be a great helper. In addition, Phoenix Spirit and Long Chen were also silver inheritors like him, so their combat strength was definitely not weak. Ouyang, in the future you don't have to call me young master sect in front of outsiders. Just call me Lu Ming. Lu Ming said. All right. OuyangWushuang nodded. Soon after they arrived at Phoenix Palace. When Huang Ling reported to the palace master that Lu Ming and Long Chan were also going to Xinyuan Empire, the palace master was overjoyed. 2 months ago the news that Lu Ming had killed Wan Xingyang had spread like wildfire. His combat strength was unparalleled. With Lu Ming participating, OuyangWushuang's chances of winning would increase greatly. Even the palace master of Phoenix Palace, who had been prepared to send the other paragons of Phoenix Palace, had cancelled the plan. The most powerful genius of the Phoenix Palace had been in seclusion at a critical moment and could not come out. The other geniuses were not as good as Feng Ling, so it was useless for them to go. A day later Lu Ming, Feng Ling, Long Chen and of course, Bubbles followed OuyangWushuang and stepped onto the Phoenix Palace's teleportation formation. They left the Ancient Moon Sanctuary and headed towards the Ancient Sun Sanctuary. Of course, Phoenix Palace couldn't teleport directly into the Ancient Sun Sacred Land. They teleported to a city on the outskirts of the Ancient Sun Sacred Land and then flew to the Xinyuan Empire. On the way, OuyangWushuang told everyone about the situation in the Ancient Sun Sacred Land. Ancient Yang Holy Land and Ancient Moon Holy Land were equally famous, but their structure was completely different. In the Ancient Moon Holy Land, many forces were in a confrontation, fighting with each other, each dominating a region. There were at least 20 powerful forces in total. And NBSP, but the Ancient Sun Sacred Land was different. It only had 4 factions. There were only 4 forces in the vast Ancient Sun Sacred Land, each occupying a vast territory and having existed for countless years. These 4 forces were the only holy temple in the Xinyuan Empire, the Purple Flame Villa, and the Daluo Heaven Sect. One must know that the Ancient Yang Holy Land's overall power was not weaker than the Ancient Moon Holy Land, and might even be stronger. One could imagine how strong these 4 forces were. Each force's strength was far above the Phoenix Palace and the Wan family. Among them, the Daluo Heaven Sect was the most powerful, suppressing the other 3 forces. This time, there were a total of 3 princes who were qualified to participate in the fight for the crown prince's position. The other 3 forces in the ancient Yang sacred land each supported a prince. The strongest sect, the Daluo Heaven Sect, supported the first prince, OuyangWudao. The only divine temple supported OuyangWuji. The Purple Flame Villa supported OuyangWushuang. It was obvious that if a prince became the crown prince, the faction that supported him would gain the friendship of the divine Yuan Empire. This would have a huge impact on the situation in the ancient Sun Sacred Land. The Daluo Heaven Sect was especially powerful. If they supported the crown prince, OuyangWudao, to become the crown prince, the Daluo Heaven Sect would join hands with the Xinyuan Empire in the future. The other 2 forces would be in a very difficult situation. In order to fight against OuyangWudao, who was supported by the Daluo Heaven Sect, OuyangWushuang and OuyangWuji went to the ancient Moon Holy Land to seek help from the heaven's favorites. As they flew, the vast land flitted under their feet. After that, they saw a huge city that was boundless. That was the imperial capital of the Divine Origin Empire, which was also known as the Divine Origin Imperial Capital. When they entered the Divine Origin Imperial Capital, they could clearly see that some of the buildings had been destroyed. The Divine Origin Empire had just experienced a civil war. The war was incomparably intense, and it was said that even emperor-ranked experts had died in the war. The Divine Origin Imperial Capital had also suffered serious damage and had yet to be repaired. With OuyangWushuang leading the way, they were unimpeded and entered a continuous stretch of palaces. This was the Imperial Palace. Chapter 1820 Chapter 1820 Meeting Qiu Yue on the street? Chapter 1820 Meeting Qiu Yue on the street. OuyangWushuang was one of the top princes of the Xinyuan Empire, so he naturally had his own palace. They walked into a palace and OuyangWushuang asked someone to arrange a place for Lu Ming and the others to stay. Lu Ming, Fengling, Longchen, take a rest. They'll hold a banquet in 2 days. I'll introduce you to the geniuses of the Purple Flame Villa. OuyangWushuang said. All right, if you have something to do, then go. Lu Ming nodded. After OuyangWushuang had arranged a place for them to stay, he took his leave. Lu Ming, Huangling and Longchen were wandering around the hall. It was their first time in the ancient sun-sacred land and they were curious. The only divine temple supports the other prince? I wonder if he'll meet Qiu Yue. Lu Ming pondered. The three of them walked around and chatted for a while before returning to their rooms to cultivate. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. 2 days later, OuyangWushuang held a banquet and sent someone to invite the three of them to the banquet. When the three of them arrived at a large hall, there were already a few people seated inside. OuyangWushuang sat at the head of the hall. On the left side of the hall, there were 8 young men and women. All of them were wearing the same purple clothes with a purple flame embroidered on it. Lu Ming and the other two's hearts skipped a beat. They knew that this was the pride of the Purple Flame Villa. Lu Ming, Fengling, Longchen, please take a seat. OuyangWushuang stood up to welcome them while Lu Ming and the other two took their seats. Everyone is here. Let me introduce them to you. These are the heaven's favorites from the Purple Flame Villa. This is Xiaomucheng and this is... OuyangWushuang first introduced Lu Ming and the others to the geniuses of the Purple Flame Villa. Nice to meet you. Lu Ming and the other two stood up and raised their glasses to toast. However, the 8 heaven's favorites from the Purple Flame Villa only laughed and did not reply. Their faces were filled with pride. This attitude was somewhat disrespectful to Lu Ming and the rest. This made OuyangWushuang's face darken. Prince Wushuang, I heard you went to ancient Moon Holy Land to ask for help. Are these the heaven's favorites you invited? Yemo asked. In the Purple Flame Villa, a young man with a purple flame between his brows spoke. His name was Xiaomucheng, and he was an extremely powerful heaven's favorite of the Xiao family in the Purple Flame Villa. His cultivation had reached the Great Saint Perfection realm. Not bad. These geniuses from ancient Moon Holy Land are extremely talented, OuyangWushuang introduced. Extraordinary talent? How come I've never seen him in Heavenly Emperor City? Another heaven's favorite from the Purple Flame Villa interrupted OuyangWushuang's words. That's right, we have seen all of the powerful heaven's favorites from ancient Moon Holy Land and Heaven Emperor City. Why don't we see them? Xiaomucheng smiled faintly. When the news of a great emperor building the Yuan Mountain Sacred Academy spread in Heavenly Emperor City, countless geniuses gathered in Heavenly Emperor City and clashed with each other. Many geniuses had met each other before. The geniuses from Purple Flame Villa had also been to Heavenly Emperor City and met many geniuses from ancient Moon Holy Land. However, they did not know Lu Ming and the others. Even the Heavenly Emperor City did not dare to go. How strong could they be? And he was extremely talented? They obviously didn't believe him. Our cultivation was still weak at that time, so we didn't go to Heavenly Emperor City. Longchen said in a deep voice. Haha, your cultivation is still weak. At least you have some self-awareness. His cultivation was weak before. Is he strong now? I've heard that OuyangWuji managed to invite the #1 genius of the Skywolf Tower and the second prince of the Golden Crow race from the ancient Moon Holy Land. They are all very powerful. A few of the Purple Flame Villa's geniuses mocked him. This made Lu Ming, Fengling and Longchen's faces turn cold. OuyangWushuang's face was also ugly. He waved his hand and said, All right, since you're all here to help me, you should work together and not fight among yourselves. He said, Prince Wushuang, we are doing this for your own good. I hope these people will be of some use. Xiaomucheng sneered with a faint sense of disdain. After that, the atmosphere became a little awkward. Everyone drank a few cups and then left unhappily. Lu Ming, I'm sorry. After the people from the Purple Flame Villa left, OuyangWushuang felt a little apologetic. It's normal for people from big forces to have their eyes on the top of their heads. I just don't know if they have the corresponding strength. Lu Ming smiled faintly. The heavens favorites of the Purple Flame Villa are quite strong. Maybe I've never seen you guys before, so I'm a little proud. OuyangWushuang explained. I hope so. Lu Ming smiled and bade farewell to OuyangWushuang. He returned to his residence with Fengling and Longchen. Ow? OuyangWushuang sighed and felt a headache. However, he was still biased towards the Purple Flame Villa. Lu Ming, Fengling and Longchen had great potential, but their cultivation levels were still weak. This test mainly relied on the talents of the Purple Flame Villa, Lu Ming, and a few others to assist. Lu Ming and the other two returned to their residence and made an appointment to visit the Divine Origin Imperial capital the next day. The next morning the three of them headed outside. The three of them had OuyangWushuang's token, so they were naturally unimpeded. The Divine Origin Imperial capital had been passed down for countless years. It was vast and boundless. All sorts of ancient buildings soared into the sky. From afar it was extremely spectacular. Even though it had just experienced internal strife, the Divine Origin Imperial capital had basically returned to normal. Shops lined both sides of the streets, and martial Dao powerhouses were streaming in endlessly. The three of them didn't have a goal in mind and just wandered around. They bought whatever they needed. Lu Ming, what's wrong? As they walked, Huang Ling and Long Qin realized that something was wrong with Lu Ming. Lu Ming suddenly stopped and looked ahead without blinking. They followed Lu Ming's gaze and saw a woman in front of them. She was out of this world. This woman had a slender and graceful figure. She wore a long dress and had an otherworldly temperament. She was like a goddess from the legends, a fairy from heaven. Even in the vast crowd, she could attract everyone's attention and become the center of attention. This woman's appearance wasn't any worse than Huang Ling's. Brother Lu Ming is lecherous. He can't move when he sees a beautiful woman. Bubbles mumbled as she sat on Lu Ming's shoulder. Huang Ling and Long Qin were a little surprised. Although the lady was like a goddess, they knew Lu Ming well enough to know that he was not such a person. At that moment, Lu Ming seemed to have not heard Bubbles, Feng Ling and the rest. There was only one person in his eyes, the lady who was as white as snow. Qiu Yue. Lu Ming did not expect that after so many years, he would meet Qiu Yue again on the streets of this house. It had been more than 10 years since Qiu Yue had been taken away by the only expert from the Divine Temple. It had been more than 10 years since they had last seen each other, but Qiu Yue was still as beautiful as before, except that she had matured a little and her temperament had become more otherworldly. For more than 10 years in the vast Yuan continent, Lu Ming did not know where to look for Qiu Yue. All these years, especially Lu Ming's parents, they had been thinking about Qiu Yue. Qiu Yue could be said to have grown up with Lu Ming. Li Ping and her husband had almost treated Qiu Yue as half a daughter. Lu Ming's main purpose in coming to the ancient Sun's sacred land was to find Qiu Yue. However, he did not expect to achieve this goal so easily. Chapter 1821, Chapter 1821. Don't recognize Lu Ming anymore? Chapter 1821. Don't recognize Lu Ming anymore. Lu Ming took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He smiled and said to Huang Ling and the rest, I met an old friend. I haven't seen him for many years. I'll introduce him to you later. With that, Lu Ming stepped forward and walked toward Qiu Yue. Lu Ming walked like the wind and arrived beside Qiu Yue in a few steps. He called out, Qiu Yue. Even though Lu Ming was very determined now, he was still a little shaken. He wondered what kind of expression Qiu Yue would have when she suddenly saw him. Qiu Yue turned around and looked at Lu Ming when she heard him. However, Lu Ming was stunned by her gaze. It was a kind of silence and there was a vague look of disgust in his eyes as if Lu Ming was a stranger. Qiu Yue, long time no see. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. Get lost. A cold voice came out of Qiu Yue's mouth, and the disgust in her eyes became even stronger. What's going on? Lu Ming was stunned. Qiu Yue would never speak to him like that. Could it be that the person in front of him was not Qiu Yue? That was impossible. Lu Ming grew up with Qiu Yue and they had been together for more than 10 years. He could not be mistaken. Even if Qiu Yue's temperament had changed a little, she was definitely Qiu Yue. Moreover, no matter how high a person's cultivation level was, their intrinsic aura would not change. Lu Ming would definitely remember Qiu Yue's aura correctly. The beauty in front of him was Qiu Yue. Qiu Yue, I'm young master. I'm Lu Ming. Lu Ming took a step forward and reached out to pull Qiu Yue's small hand. Lecher, you're looking for death. Die. Qiu Yue shouted as a blade of light burst out from her hand. It was extremely terrifying and bone-chilling. Lu Ming's expression changed and he retreated, avoiding the blade of light. Fanatic, how dare you flirt with my junior sister Qiu Yue in broad daylight? I'll kill you. A fiery red figure rushed toward Lu Ming. It was a young man with cold eyes. He threw a palm at Lu Ming. The fiery palm print made the void tremble. Lu Ming's mind was in a state of shock and he did not dodge. The palm landed heavily on his body. Lu Ming's body trembled and he drifted backward. The young man's eyes turned cold. He felt that when his palm landed on Lu Ming's body, it was as if he had landed on an immortal diamond. He could not move it at all. How was it possible with his great sage mastery cultivation? It must be an illusion. Kill? The young man took a step forward and rushed toward Lu Ming, intending to kill him. Get back. Long Qin stepped forward and threw a punch. The young man's expression changed as he felt that he couldn't fight against this punch. At the critical moment, he stopped himself and backed off to avoid Long Chen's punch. You're lucky today. The young man snorted coldly and swept his cold gaze at Lu Ming. Then he turned around and left. At this moment, Qiu Yue had already floated away and disappeared into the crowd. From the beginning to the end, she did not even look at Lu Ming. What's going on? Qiu Yue doesn't seem to recognize me at all. Lu Ming furrowed his brows tightly and could not understand. Although his temperament had changed a lot over the years, he had been with Qiu Yue for so many years. It was impossible for Qiu Yue not to recognize him. Furthermore, he had already given his name, but Qiu Yue still pointed her sword at him. Based on Lu Ming's understanding of Qiu Yue, this was impossible. Qiu Yue's eyes revealed that she was very quiet, as if she really did not know Lu Ming. What had happened all these years? Another person who doesn't know what's good for him wants to get close to Fairy Qiu Yue. He's asking for trouble. And NBSP, isn't that so? He's a toad lusting after a swan's flesh. Qiu Yue Fairy is one of the two beauties of the ancient sun's sacred land. So many peerless geniuses have tried to pursue her, but they've all been rejected. This kid is just dreaming. It's already good luck that he wasn't killed. The people on the streets who had witnessed this scene sneered and looked at Lu Ming in disdain. Lu Ming, what's wrong? Huang Ling walked over and asked curiously. Based on her understanding of Lu Ming, he was not that kind of person. He would not touch a beautiful woman and be unable to move. However, they were very curious about Lu Ming's unusual behavior just now. An old friend. We haven't seen each other for more than 10 years, but he doesn't seem to recognize me at all. Lu Ming did not hide anything and told her about his relationship with Qiu Yue. That's strange. We cultivators will never forget a person. Even if we haven't seen each other for 10,000 years, we can still recognize each other. Long Qin said with a frown. Cultivators had a good memory and a person's origin aura would not change. No matter how long it had been, one could still recognize it. She doesn't know you at all. There are only two possibilities. Huang Ling spoke, but she stopped halfway. She wanted to say something but stopped as if she couldn't bear to. Let's go back. Lu Ming turned around and walked toward OuyangWushuang's mansion after he finished speaking. He knew what Huang Ling wanted to say. There were only two possibilities if she didn't know him. The first was amnesia. The second was to be possessed by an expert. No matter what, something must have happened to Qiu Yue and he would definitely find out. Lu Ming walked very slowly as he pondered. Long Qin and Feng Ling followed behind him and did not disturb him. After walking for a long time, they finally returned to OuyangWushuang's mansion. This lecher is back. He still has the face to come back. As soon as they entered the gate, they met a few young men from the Purple Flame Villa. One of them sneered. Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror? You're really overestimating yourself to have designs on Fairy Qiu Yue. Moreover, his cultivation is so low that he was sent flying by a great sage from the only sacred hall. I really don't know what use Prince Wushuang has in inviting such a person. He'll just drag us down. The other young men from the Purple Flame Villa also sneered. Obviously, the scene on the street was also witnessed by the geniuses of the Purple Flame Villa. Otherwise they would not have known so clearly. Shut up. Lu Ming shouted coldly, his eyes sweeping across the few people like lightning. Kid, who are you asking to shut up? One of the Purple Flame Villa's paragons' expression turned cold. I heard a few wild dogs barking as soon as I came back. Get lost immediately. Lu Ming was already in a bad mood. When he came back and heard these people's sarcasm, he naturally did not look happy. Kid, you're just a piece of trash. If it weren't for Prince Wushuang, I would have thrown you out long ago. How dare you act so arrogantly now? It seems like you don't know your place if I don't teach you a lesson. A burly Heaven's favorite from the Purple Flame Villa shouted coldly and stepped forward, pressing toward Lu Ming. This man was at the peak of the Supreme Saint realm and was a powerful Heaven's favorite. His spiritual body was a medium-grade Heaven spiritual body. Get lost. Lu Ming took a step forward and pounced on his opponent like a bolt of lightning. He struck out with his palm. Chapter 1822, Lu Ming's Outburst? Chapter 1822, Lu Ming's outburst. Lu Ming's palm seemed to have turned into a prison-suppressing steel that suppressed the heavens. As he struck out with his palm, the world buzzed and the void trembled. The terrifying pressure made the burly young man from the Purple Flame Villa change his expression as he felt the terrible pressure. He bellowed in rage and the purple flames on his body bloomed, forming a purple beast that pounced at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's palm was unstoppable. There was nothing it could not break. With a slash, the purple beast exploded, but the palm did not stop. The other party's expression changed again and he blocked it with both hands. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on the man's arm. The man screamed in pain and his body flew out, falling heavily on the ground. His arms were completely twisted. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was pale. He looked at Lu Ming in disbelief. Previously, on the street, Lu Ming could not even withstand a palm strike from a great sage in great mastery. How could he be so terrifying now and injure him so badly with one palm? In fact, Lu Ming had shown mercy. Otherwise he would have been dead. How dare you hurt the people of my Purple Flame Villa? Let me see your combat strength. In the Purple Flame Villa, another young man shouted. With a swish, his figure pounced toward Lu Ming. His cultivation of the great saint in the great circle was fully released. This person was no weaker than the number one genius of the Wan family, Wan Jingyang. In fact, he might even be slightly stronger. Violet meteorite critical strike. The man roared. It was as if he had turned into a flame. He punched out continuously with both fists. Balls of purple flames shot towards Lu Ming like meteorites. This was a terrifying divine ability. It was shockingly powerful. Lu Ming was not afraid at all. He circulated the chaos law and activated the prison-suppressing heaven technique. His palm was like a knife and he slashed 100 times in an instant. Bang! Bang! In the sky, the meteorite-like attack exploded like fireworks when Lu Ming's palm struck it. Lu Ming rushed through the flames, but the flames did not touch his body. He quickly approached the genius of the Purple Flame Villa, and a terrifying attack was aimed at him. Violet meteorite critical strike, combine, die. The paragon of the Purple Flame Villa shouted. The flames burned fiercely as he pushed his hands out slowly. A huge fireball like a purple sun pressed down on Lu Ming. Break, die. Lu Ming bellowed. The dragon's roar reverberated in his body. He pointed with his finger and the chaotic finger of tribulation burst forth. A huge finger condensed and pointed at his opponent. Boom. A terrifying explosion sounded out, and the sky continuously trembled. There were experts protecting the buildings below, or else they would have exploded. In the end, the primal chaos tribulation finger crushed over like a god, exploding the sun with a single finger. The scene was extremely shocking. Bang! The sovereign from the Purple Flame Villa was sent flying back. He was only able to stabilize himself after flying for more than 10,000 meters, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. How is that possible? He muttered to himself. He was actually defeated by a great sage in the Great Perfection realm. How could this be possible? The law of chaos. He is one of the sons of God, the son of chaos. Someone exclaimed. The others looked at Lu Ming in shock. It was no wonder that the son of chaos was so terrifying. Still not getting lost. Lu Ming stood in the air and chided indifferently. The people from the Purple Flame Villa blushed and left dejectedly. Since Lu Ming and the rest had just arrived, they had been looking at them with contempt. Almost all of the top heaven's favorites from the ancient Moon Holy Land had been to the Heavenly Emperor City. They had seen them before, but Lu Ming and the others had not been to the Heavenly Emperor City. Their first impression was that Lu Ming and the others were very weak, and they looked down on them from the bottom of their hearts. Previously, the two geniuses of the Purple Flame Villa happened to see Lu Ming being sent flying by a great sage in one palm strike. This made them look down on him even more. This time, the people who helped OuyangWushuang in the Purple Flame Villa were all at the peak of the Great Saint realm or even Great Saint perfection. He believed that the people invited by the other princes were the same. With Lu Ming's cultivation base, it was almost useless. Therefore, as soon as Lu Ming and the rest returned, they mocked them. However, they did not expect Lu Ming to suddenly explode, and his combat strength was so strong that it was abnormal. They were also prodigies, but Lu Ming had surpassed them by 3 levels. They were too ashamed to stay here after he had defeated them. You're overestimating yourself. Long Qin smiled faintly. After that, they all returned to their residences and began cultivating in seclusion. However, the next morning, OuyangWushuang sent someone to invite them to meet again. It was still the same hall as before and everyone took their seats. The only difference was that the paragons of the Purple Flame Villa now looked at Lu Ming with a grave expression. OuyangWushuang smiled. He had received the news of the battle between Lu Ming and the Heaven's Pride expert of the Purple Flame Villa. Lu Ming's combat strength was beyond his imagination. He could actually suppress a great saint in the Great Perfection realm. However, the stronger Lu Ming was, the more advantageous it would be for him. Prince Wushuang, why have you summoned us so early? One of the geniuses from the Purple Flame Villa asked. OuyangWuji has sent me an invitation to a banquet for me and everyone else. OuyangWushuang explained the reason. OuyangWuji invited us to a banquet. I'm afraid that things are not as simple as they seem. Someone said with a frown. OuyangWuji was one of the 3 competing princes and had the support of the only sacred hall. He had even invited many heaven's favorites from the ancient Moon Holy Land to help him. It would not be easy to invite them to a banquet. No matter what, he's inviting us openly. I doubt he'll dare to play dirty, said Huang Ling. The test for the 3 princes had yet to begin. OuyangWuji would not dare to play any dirty tricks and harm them. Otherwise he would be disqualified immediately. That's right. Therefore we can't lose our momentum. Let's go and see what OuyangWuji is up to, OuyangWushuang said. No one had any objections. It would be beneficial for them to meet OuyangWuji and his helpers first. Know yourself and know your enemy and you will never be defeated. After chatting for a while, OuyangWushuang led his men towards a vast palace when it was almost time. That palace was OuyangWuji's residence. Someone brought them to a spacious courtyard. Ah, 9th brother, you're here. And all the heroes, please have a seat. A young man wearing a purple gold robe and a purple gold crown laughed heartily as he came out to welcome them. 6th brother, you don't have to be so polite, OuyangWushuang said with a smile. Among the princes, OuyangWushuang was ranked 9th, OuyangWuji was ranked 6th, and OuyangWudao was ranked 1st. He was known as the first prince. OuyangWuji and OuyangWushuang sat at the head of the table. Below OuyangWuji sat more than 10 young men. Each of them had an extraordinary aura. On the other hand, Lu Ming and the rest were seated below OuyangWuji. Both parties were sizing each other up. Qiu Yue. Lu Ming saw Qiu Yue at a glance and his gaze fell on her. Qiu Yue seemed to have sensed Lu Ming's gaze. She frowned and cast a cold glance at Lu Ming. It seems like you really can't recognize me. Lu Ming frowned. The second prince of the Golden Crow, Mo Lang of the Skywolf Tower, Huang Ling muttered and looked across. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.